Chapter 226. Under the curtain of night, starlight sprinkled down from the sky onto the Scarlet Sky Peak. The Scarlet Sky Peak was like a lonely island suspended in the sky. The sea of clouds was boundless, and the pavilions, terraces, and lofty palaces and temples were like cold, divine palaces. On the platform, Qin Feng was clad in a black robe. The silvery white starlight sprinkled down on his body, making him look like an eternal divine monarch of the nine heavens. This art of primeval chaos stars is really incredible. After fusing with my primeval chaos unity chi, its true chi is simply unimaginable. As Qin Feng muttered to himself, he waved his sleeves, and 8 formless silvery white swords appeared in the air one after another. Golden Gung slaying sword art. Originally, Qin Feng found it difficult to conjure 8 formless swords with this sword art, but now it was abnormally easy. With a thought, the silvery white swords turned into 8 streaks of white light and flew in the air. The 8 swords shot out explosively, and the sword light wreaked havoc. It was as easy as moving a finger, a radius of 15 zhang. Qin Feng's range of control over the 8 formless swords increased from 10 zhang to 15 zhang. He waved his sleeves, and the 8 streaks of cold light rolled back, capturing the 8 formless swords. Qin Feng's face turned solemn. The next step was the most important one, which was to condense the star imprint and completely imprint it on the god-perishing star, turning it into a natal star. Qin Feng calmed his distracting thoughts and sat cross-legged on the platform. He skillfully operated the star perception divine art, following the faintly discernible connection in the depths of the beer. In the next moment, Qin Feng's mind flew and appeared in the boundless galaxy. A magnificent galaxy appeared before his eyes. Countless stars flickered with magnificent starlight in his field of vision. Qin Feng glanced around. Far away, a pure black, broom-shaped star appeared in his vision. God-perishing star. With a flash, Qin Feng rushed towards the origin core of the god-perishing star. Like a streak of light, he shot into the black god-perishing star. It was a huge primeval space. Currently, the god-perishing star was in an ownerless state, and the core space was open. What Qin Feng needed to do was to leave his own unique mark here. The art of the primordial stars contained a secret technique for imprinting one's natal imprint. Every star lord had a different natal star mark. While roaming the galaxy, Qin Feng had encountered many strange star imprints. Some were shaped like tools, some were shaped like weapons, some were shaped like beasts, some were shaped like trees, and some were shaped like flowers. Qin Feng had even seen a supreme being who had turned his natal star imprint into a woman's crotch cloth. Qin Feng prepared a pattern that he was most familiar with. MO2. The diagram of the abyssal magic diagram. It was an extremely complicated star natal brand. It was common knowledge that the more complex a star's natal imprint was, the more mental energy it consumed, and the more difficult it was to inscribe. However, Qin Feng still decided to use this pattern. Qin Feng channeled the art of the chaos star, and with his mind power as the foundation, he began to draw out the diagram of the abyss demon diagram stroke by stroke. In the void, an invisible pattern appeared, exuding a silvery white luster. Each stroke was like a work of art. Rumble. In the core space, a black and red thunderbolt was born in an instant. The core space began to tremble, and a terrifying killing intent was born, shaking the world. Under this earth-shattering change, Qin Feng's face was gloomy, and he suddenly felt insignificant. He was like an ant under the sky. There was also a great pressure in his mind, and a dense aura of death enveloped his mind. Qin Feng's mind was unstable, and the abyssal demon diagram that he had just drawn was shattered. At the same time, in the sky, a blood-red thunderbolt suddenly enveloped Qin Feng. Boom! Qin Feng's mind was unstable, and he was almost torn apart by the thunderbolt and turned into ashes. In the depths of his soul, a black light suddenly shot out and fell on top of Qin Feng's head, obliterating the ferocious aura. Ominous star counterattack. If it were anyone else, they would have died without a complete corpse. If their mind died, they would become an idiot. The abyssal demon diagram above his head rotated, exuding a terrifying aura that suppressed the sky. Qin Feng was expressionless, and he once again drew the abyssal demon diagram with his mind power. Every stroke, a wisp of aura seeped into the diagram in his hand. The silvery white diagram reappeared. Rumble. The perishing god star shook violently, and an even more powerful and terrifying counterattack power turned into a blood-red thunderbolt and bombarded him. Ferocious, ominous, unlucky, and murderous aura turned into a torrent of blood-red thunderbolts and rushed over. Qin Feng's mind seemed to be wrapped in a dense aura of death, and he seemed to have seen a strange phenomenon. The next moment, he would be refined into ashes by the blood-red thunderbolts. Qin Feng was calm, and he was multitasking. The abyssal demon diagram unfolded and turned into a devouring vortex full of endless darkness and evil. The counterattack power of the perishing god star was devoured by the abyssal demon diagram without exception. After devouring a trace of the perishing god star's power, the abyssal demon diagram emitted a faint luster, as if it was awakening. It was like a giant that began to release its own power. The abyssal demon diagram was a peerless divine object that was about to become a divine weapon. Although it had been severely damaged while traveling through space, it was recovering its power as the first layer of the blue sea abyss was opened. The perishing god star had a peerless power. If it counterattacked with all its power, the broken abyssal demon diagram wouldn't be able to resist it. However, it was just a trace of its instinctive counterattack, which was easily suppressed by the abyssal demon diagram. With the abyssal demon diagram suppressing this trace of interference, everything became simple. Qin Feng's mind was immersed in the abyssal demon diagram. Every stroke was as smooth as moving clouds and flowing water. After every stroke, Qin Feng's body became more and more illusory. The consumption of his mental energy was terrifying. When the last stroke was finished, a flow of silvery white light flowed from the first stroke of the diagram. At the last stroke, a strange but gorgeous abyssal demon diagram was drawn. The abyssal demon diagram bloomed, releasing silvery white light that seemed to be able to devour and demonize everything. In a flash, it turned into a silver light and rushed into the origin of the perishing god star. It's done. At this moment, Qin Feng felt that the connection between him and the perishing god star had broken through a bottleneck. It was as smooth as water and milk. Buzz, buzz. Qin Feng suddenly felt dizzy, as if his body would disappear at any time. Drawing this natal star imprint consumed a lot of energy. Qin Feng almost collapsed. Smiling bitterly, Qin Feng tried his best to concentrate and maintain his mind. In the deepest part of the perishing god star, the natal star imprint in the shape of the abyssal demon diagram fell into the core and started to absorb the origin of the perishing god star. The natal star imprint turned into a cocoon, absorbing the star essence energy that had been left on the perishing god star for countless years. At the same time, a weak feedback followed the natal star imprint and poured into Qin Feng's mental avatar, which was about to become illusory. Like a gurgling spring, it kept pouring in. The mental avatar formed by Qin Feng's mind absorbed this pure star essence energy and started to condense. After a while, it returned to its original state. At the same time, there was a trace of improvement. Qin Feng's mental avatar was glowing. His mental energy was strengthened by a trace of the origin of the perishing god star. Qin Feng's expression was calm as he looked at his natal star imprint. Condensing the natal star imprint was only the first step to controlling the natal star. The next step was to create a star battle body. This was the foundation of conquering the first level of the Star River. In the first level of the Star River, there are not only stars, but also some nebula beasts that ate stars as food. The nebula beasts were a kind of terrifying starry sky beasts born from endless starlight. The Star River was also filled with the cruel law of the jungle, where the strong preyed on the weak. Between the nebula beasts and the stars, they were both prey and hunters. If the nebula beasts were strong enough, they could devour stars and evolve. Similarly, if the Star Master was strong enough, he could hunt the nebula beasts, plunder their essence, and refine his natal star. If the natal star was strong enough, he could advance to the second level of the Star River and enter the second level of the Star River, where the starlight was more abundant. The Star Battle Body was the first step for the Star Master to move unhindered in the Star River. Only by using the natal imprint to create the Star Battle Body could the Star Master have the most basic self-protection ability. Just like the huge heavenly serpent and the Valkyrie that Qin Feng had seen in the Star River, they were both Star Battle Bodies. However, according to the records in the Art of Origin of Stars, the power of the Star Battle Body could not be brought back to the physical body. Unless the star could advance to the 7th or 8th level of the Star River and had the power to break through the Star River, the Star Battle Body could be integrated into the physical body. However, according to the Art of Origin of Stars, killing the nebula beasts with the Star Battle Body would result in the star's feedback. Qin Feng's physical body also benefited. Please recommend me, collect me, reward me. Chapter 2:27. Nurturing the stellar battle physique required a long period of time. Seeing that he had successfully imprinted his natal star, Qin Feng disappeared from the first layer of the Star River. On the Tao platform, Qin Feng opened his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, he immediately felt a slight change in his body. The chaos star constellation True Qi in his body had already undergone some inexplicable changes. The origin star True Qi, which was originally peaceful and broad, now carried a trace of fierceness. Qin Feng tried to condense a strand of star constellation True Qi. The originally silvery white star constellation True Qi turned into a pure black color with a trace of blood-like red. It was like the star origin energy emitted by the perishing God star. The Chaos Star constellation Secret Art has undergone a mutation and merged with a trace of perishing God star's star origin energy. Qin Feng guessed that this might be the result of cultivating the Chaos Star constellation Secret Art. This kind of power was extremely unfamiliar, but it was extremely tyrannical. Compared to before, it had an additional trace of ruthless killing intent. The power of an ominous star. Qin Feng's sleeves drooped down as he lowered his palms. Qin Feng guessed that this might be related to everyone's natal star. Sensing it slightly, Qin Feng realized that after merging with his natal star, he had received the feedback of his natal star's origin energy. Unknowingly, he had broken through from the mid-stage of the 12th heavenly layer to the late stage of the 12th heavenly layer. His body's true qi was even more majestic. 7 days later, on the Tao platform, Qin Feng had completely consolidated and familiarized himself with the first layer of the Chaos Star constellation Secret Art. Qin Feng decided to head to the capital of Stars All-Stars College to obtain the second layer of the Chaos Star constellation Secret Art. In addition, Qin Feng wanted to take this opportunity to bring back Hong Lian, Qin Shou, Qin Gang, and the rest. Early in the morning, the faint rays of dawn appeared on the scarlet sky peak as a scarlet sun rose from the horizon. Chirp! A crisp chirp sounded from the horizon as a snow-white jade-eye sparrow appeared in Qin Feng's vision. Qin Feng's figure moved, and like a black rainbow, he rushed into the horizon and landed on the white jade-eye sparrow. Gua, Brother Feng, wait for Lord Ba. In the distance, Lord Ba flapped his wings with difficulty and flew over in a crooked manner. The corner of Qin Feng's mouth twitched slightly. He waved his sleeve, and an invisible force wrapped around the strange bird and pulled it onto his shoulder. Then, he patted the white jade-eye sparrow lightly. The white jade-eye sparrow let out a joyful and high-pitched chirp, then turned into a cold light and soared into the sky. The sea of clouds stretched as far as the eye could see. As far as the eye could see, numerous towering spiritual mountains towered into the sea of clouds. There were green pines and green cypresses, and there were rare and exotic beasts resting there. The cries of cranes filled the sky. At a glance, these spirit mountains were scattered all over the place, like islands in the sea of clouds. The white jade-eye sparrow spread its wings and flew as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, it had covered several miles. After Silly Bird became a white jade eye sparrow, her speed had multiplied. Even though she was not as fast as the eagles, geese, and eagles of the same level, she was not slow. Standing on the white jade eye sparrow, Qin Feng released a layer of invisible origin star stellar energy from his pores, forming a protective shield that was several feet wide. It protected his body and blocked the gale. On his shoulder, Lord Ba desperately grabbed Qin Feng's shoulder with his claws to prevent himself from being blown off by the gale. Lord Ba shrieked, "Croak, croak, Brother Feng, lend me some of your stellar energy." The corner of Qin Feng's mouth twitched into a faint smile. Although Lord Ba had a pure bloodline and had awakened his innate ability early, flying was still Lord Ba's weakness. This was because this bird had no feathers and could not fly. Lord Ba's eyes rolled around as he called out, "Croak, croak, Brother Feng, Lord Ba has important information to report to you." Qin Feng looked ahead and said lazily, "What information? If Lord Ba reports this information to you, can you lend Lord Ba some of your stellar energy? This depends on your performance." "Really? Brother Feng, let me tell you. Ever since we flew out of Scarlet Sky Peak, a bird has been following us." "What?" Qin Feng's face instantly turned gloomy. He tapped his foot slightly. The white jade ice sparrow understood and immediately slowed down. Qin Feng looked around and spread out his powerful spiritual perception. A secret art appeared in Qin Feng's mind. Heavenly hearing and earthly vision. Lord Ba was extremely intelligent. With a single glance, he could tell that Qin Feng seemed to be using a secret technique. With a turn of his eyes, he suddenly transformed into wisps of faint black smoke and disappeared on Qin Feng's shoulder. Qin Feng stopped the secret technique that he was about to use and looked at Lord Ba with a solemn gaze. This thieving bird actually had a trick up his sleeve. This crafty fellow. Croak, croak. After a while, the black smoke suddenly flashed in the air and turned into Lord Ba's figure. He proudly landed on the black-robed youth's shoulder. Qin Feng looked deeply at this fellow. Finally, his gaze fell on a strange sparrow the size of a sparrow that was desperately struggling at Lord Ba's feet. Cloud Spy Bird. Qin Feng's expression slightly changed. He recognized this type of small bird. It was a type of bird with extremely high intelligence. It had a special talent that allowed it to change its aura with a single glance like a chameleon, as well as the color of its feathers. Many experts would tame this type of bird for surveillance, tracking, and scouting purposes. This should be the method of that Black Hand, right? Qin Feng's face turned gloomy as he grabbed the desperately struggling Cloud Spy Bird. A few days ago, Qin Feng had always felt that there was a shadow watching him in the dark and plotting against him. Whether it was A.O. Fong who suddenly jumped out to oppose him, Jin Xiaowang, Wei Qing Wang, or that guy who used the chaotic divine tune to disturb his mind with the intention of killing him, all of them were related to that shadow. If one were to trace back further, the 72 Earth terminating nails in the Jade Water Cave on the Scarlet Peak might be the work of that shadow. It seems like this person is addicted to scheming. Do you really think that I won't be able to find him? Qin Feng sneered as a vicious aura surged in his heart. This time, he finally managed to catch some clues. Qin Feng's eyes fell on this Cloud Spy Bird. This Cloud Spy Bird was tainted with a trace of intelligence. This type of bird was extremely intelligent and could understand humans. You should be able to find out the identity of that Black Hand from it. 80, I'll leave it to you. Find out the owner behind it. 80 spread his wings and grabbed the struggling Cloud Spy Bird with his sharp claws. 80 cried out with a sharp voice, "Croak, croak. Brother Feng, don't worry. Leave it to 80. This little thing actually followed 80. How dare it?" 80's bloodline was extremely high. When the Cloud Spy Bird fell into Qin Feng's hands, it struggled, but when it fell under 80's feet, it was actually trembling in fear. Its wings trembled as it lowered its head like a quail. Not long later, 80 suddenly cried out, "Brother Feng, we found target. Its owner lives in the Celestial Water Lake's First Sky Cave. I think it's called Jade Floating Sinking. It's this Jade Floating Sinking that ordered it to monitor our every move around the Scarlet Peak." Jade Floating Sinking? Qin Feng's face sank. Qin Feng had heard Senior Bai mention this person before. This person was a veteran expert of All Stars College. This person was extremely gloomy and scheming. Many people in All Stars College called this person a smiling tiger. This person wasn't famous for his cultivation, but his identity. This person was a rarely seen second-grade mystic master. His identity was extremely special in All Stars College. With this identity, he was often the guest of honor of various large battle squads. Second-grade mystic master, proficient in mystic arrays. It seems like the person who used the 72 Earth Fiend nails to seal the Scarlet Peak's spiritual energy is this person. Qin Feng's eyes were bursting with killing intent. 80 dismissed the underling cloud spy bird behind him and asked the black-robed youth, "Brother Feng, what should we do now? What should we do?" "Naturally, we will go and beat him up. The second update will be in the afternoon. The third update will be in the evening after the fourth update. If the recommendation votes can reach the top 10, it will be 4 updates today. Right now, this book's recommendation votes are ranked 16th on the entire platform. Brothers, it's up to you if you can reach the top 5, let alone 4 or 5 updates. Even 10 update a day is fine." Chapter 228. This Lord 8 likes beating people up. Lord 8 beamed with joy, but soon after, he revealed a trace of bashfulness. "Brother Feng, can Lord 8 ask you for a favor?" Qin Feng was surprised. "What is it? Can you not kill her?" Lord 8 was referring to the white cloud sparrow that was hiding behind him like a quail. "Why?" Lord Ba said arrogantly as he patted his chest. "Because I, Lord 8, promised her to let her become a member of the great Lord 8's harem." Qin Feng swept his gaze across Lord 8 and the cloud spy bird in a strange manner. The two birds' figures were not proportionate. Qin Feng had a strange expression. "Brother Feng, don't look at Lord 8 with your superficial eyes." Lord 8 was a little angry from embarrassment after being stared at by Qin Feng's strange eyes. Lord 8 is a divine bird that has sworn to cultivate into a human form. Cultivate into a human form? Dream on, unless you can become a demon god. Qin Feng turned his head. Since Lord 8 had already subdued this cloud spy bird, Qin Feng would no longer make things difficult for him. Riding on the silly bird, Qin Feng changed his direction and flew towards the Celestial Water Lake. The Celestial Water Lake was a few hundred miles away from the Scarlet Sky Peak. The Celestial Water Lake was located in a great lake, which was located at the edge of the Supreme Palace enclosure. Within the Great Lake, there were 3 to 5 spiritual mountains located in blessed lands. The Celestial Water Lake was one of the grade 5 water attributed spiritual mountains. This place was a shellfish farm that produced a type of water attributed spiritual pearls. 1 hour later, the white jade-eye sparrow appeared in the sky above the sea of clouds a few miles away from the Celestial Water Lake. Qin Feng looked up and saw that the water was jade green. The mountains were green, and the clouds and water complemented each other. The Celestial Water Lake was located in the center of the Great Lake, and the entire landscape was like flowing water. The surrounding spiritual energy gathered in the Celestial Water Lake, and the density of the spiritual energy was not inferior to some of the high-grade spiritual mountains. Obviously, the cave master of the Celestial Water Lake was an expert with great attainments in the art of arrays. He had set up some spirit-gathering profound arrays around this spiritual mountain. These spirit-gathering profound formations were linked together to form a huge sky one mystic water spirit gathering formation. Water spiritual energy gathered in the Celestial Water Lake, and this level 5 blessed land was about to be upgraded to a level 6 blessed land. There were many invisible restrictions around the Celestial Water Lake. These restrictions flowed like clouds and mist. It was hazy, covering the entire Celestial Water Lake blessed land. Qin Feng glanced at it and recognized the dense restrictive spells that looked like flowing clouds. The restrictions in the void above the Celestial Water Lake were mainly based on the Minor Heavens Cloud Water restriction. The Lesser Heavens Cloud Water seal was a type of Earth Termination seal. There were as many as 36 layers, and the clouds and water were one entity. This was a type of restriction that possessed the power of confusion, illusion, trapping, and binding. Among the Earth Fiend restrictions, this kind of restriction was very famous. Many powerful mystic formation masters liked to use this kind of restriction to protect their cave abodes. Moreover, this type of restriction also had a mysterious effect. It could be stacked and linked. This was also the origin of the name Minor Heavens. What it meant was that after entering the layers, one would feel as if they had arrived at an illusory world. The more layers of the lesser heavens cloud-water seal were stacked, the more powerful it would be. It's like a tortoise shell. It's a little troublesome. Looking at these restrictions, Qin Feng felt that it was a little troublesome. Although he didn't fear these restrictions, they were too troublesome. After a long time, Fu Chan would definitely sense them. At that time, there would be more variables. After pondering for a while, Qin Feng took out a pearl from his pocket. Restriction-breaking pearl. This pearl that he snatched from Qian Kai finally played an important role at this moment. Qin Feng sneered and rushed towards the celestial water lake. At the same time, he infused his Xiantian True Qi into the restriction-breaking pearl in his hand. A faint jade-green radiance flowed on the restriction-breaking pearl. Wherever Qin Feng passed, a hole would appear in the lesser heavens cloud-water seal. With a flash, Qin Feng appeared above the celestial water lake. Qin Feng's gaze fell on an island in the middle of the celestial water lake. On the island, in the middle of the lake, there were a series of pavilions and terraces. Among them, the largest one seemed to be a crystal palace. There were 3 dazzling words on the archway. Tianyi Prefecture. How dare you trespass into the Tianyi blessed abode? Hurry up and give yourself up. Oh no, someone has trespassed into the celestial water lake. Quick, catch him. Qin Feng didn't hide his tracks. On the surface of the lake in the distance, the water rippled and a few panicked shouts could be heard. A few graceful figures rushed out from the bottom of the lake. When they saw Qin Feng, they were led by a young lady with long curly hair. Her beautiful eyes were filled with anger as she shouted loudly. Where did you come from? How dare you trespass into the celestial water lake? Kneel down and beg for your life. As she spoke, the young lady held a sharp sword and charged towards Qin Feng. This is the ancient mermaid clan of the mutated tribes? Qin Feng's gaze fell on a young lady who was charging towards him. This young lady had a beautiful appearance. She had the body of a human and the tail of a fish. Her golden scales were stunning at first glance. This young lady's cultivation was only at the 10th level of the martial path. It was rumored that if the ancient mermaid clan could break through to the meridian's condensation stage, their tails could transform into legs to walk on the ground. Various thoughts flashed through Qin Feng's mind. He swept his gaze over the several young mermaids who were charging towards him. They couldn't move at all. At the same time, traces of cold air were emitted from their bodies. So cold, I can't move at all. Damn it, the enemy is so powerful. Sisters, let's fight it out with him. Even if we have to risk our lives today, we can't be humiliated. Fight it out with him. Even if we die, we must protect our innocence. The corner of Qin Feng's mouth twitched. Did these young mermaids all have persecutory delusions? Besides, with their bodies and tails, how could they be humiliated? However, it was rumored that the women of the mermaid clan were all made of water. They were stunningly beautiful. If they were willing, they could also transform into fishtails. Moreover, the taste was even more unique. Qin Feng let out a dry cough. He was thinking about the wrong things. Looking at these beautiful young mermaids who were gnashing their teeth, Qin Feng's face turned gloomy. He was a little unhappy. Compared to Yu Fuchen's spiritual mountain paradise, Scarlet Sky Peak was filled with men. Thinking about it now, it was really disgusting. He waved his sleeves and sent a few mermaids who were blocking his way flying. His figure flashed and arrived in front of the Tianyi Prefecture's residence. At this moment, the people in the Tianyi Prefecture had already noticed the commotion outside. A group of people hurried out of the Tianyi Prefecture to check it out. They were led by a few mermaids who had already grown legs. These young mermaids were all youthful and beautiful. Their auras were tyrannical. They were all Meridian's condensation stage experts of the mermaid clan. It was especially so for a mermaid who was beside a youth wearing a jade crown. She had a gorgeous appearance and a noble temperament. She was lofty and had the temperament of a queen. On the right side of the youth wearing a jade crown, there was a young lady in blue palace attire. In terms of beauty, this young lady wasn't inferior to the mermaid queen. Hugging two beauties in each hand, truly unparalleled luck. It just so happens that my Scarlet Sky Peak is in need of maids. Give them to me as compensation. Qin Feng sized up the two ladies. The more he looked, the more satisfied he was. Looking at this black-robed youth who suddenly appeared in his own residence, Yu Fuchen's eyes flashed with a trace of fury and killing intent. After a moment, he smiled. "Are you Junior Marshal Brother Qin Feng?" Qin Feng had suffered quite a few losses from him. If it wasn't for the fact that his strength had increased by leaps and bounds, he would have long been pulled down from his seat of honor by Yu Fuchen. Qin Feng said indifferently, "Cut the crap, Yu Fuchen. If you are smart, don't fight back today. Otherwise, I will cripple you today. My ranking has advanced by 2 places, and I am now ranked 13th. Just a little bit more, and I will be able to enter the top 10. The rule of additional updates is effective regardless of the day. As long as I am in the top 10, I will be able to update 5 times a day. If I am in the top 5, it won't be a problem for me to update 10 times a day." Chapter 229. Why is Qin Feng here? Yu Fuchen thought that he was unparalleled in scheming, but he did not expect Qin Feng to appear in his cave. How did he get in here? How did he know that I was scheming against him? Yu Fuchen had a panicked feeling that he had miscalculated. A thief was most afraid of his master coming to find him. How dare you trespass into my master's cave and speak so arrogantly? You must be tired of living. On the side, the mermaid queen's face was cold. A shocking aura surged from her body. This aura was like the Yangtze River, shocking people. She was not weaker than Jin Xiaowang. "Han Yu, don't be rude. As the saying goes, a visitor is a guest." Yu Fuchen was like a gentleman, gentle and polite. He was not angered by Qin Feng's tone at all. Instead, he was very tolerant and respectful. He calmed down. The eyes of the girl in the red dress lit up. Her beautiful face revealed a trace of gentleness. It was obvious that her heart was completely tied to Yu Fuchen. "He sure is scheming." Qin Feng sneered coldly in his heart, despite his expressionless face. Qin Feng waved his hand. "That's enough, Yu Fuchen. Stop showing off your hypocrisy. Are you going to harm yourself? Or are you going to let me cripple you? Bastard." The mermaid queen's eyes were filled with murderous intent. If Yu Fuchen did not stop her, she would have already charged forward. Qin Feng curled his lips. Yu Fuchen frowned. "Qin Feng, we have no grudge against each other. Why did you barge into my cave and hurt people?" Yu Fuchen still had some fear in his heart. Qin Feng dared to appear in the Tianyi prefecture without any fear. Obviously, he had something up his sleeve. This was a dangerous signal. If possible, Yu Fuchen did not want to fall out with him. Seeing Yu Fuchen's expression, Qin Feng guessed most of what Yu Fuchen was thinking. This Yu Fuchen is indeed difficult to deal with. But against me, no matter how much you can endure, you will not be able to. A ferocious glint flashed across Qin Feng's eyes. With a flash of his body, he sent a palm strike towards Yu Fuchen. At this moment, Qin Feng had advanced to the 12th heavenly layer of the martial path. Especially after fusing with the fallen god star as his natal star, his body was tainted with a trace of the ominous star's power. His palm blasted out, as if an ancient demon god had struck. The whole Tianyi prefecture was shaken. It was as if he had been overturned by the explosive momentum. A palm enveloped Yu Fuchen. Yu Fuchen's face turned pale. This was the first time Yu Fuchen had met someone so unruly. Without saying a word, he directly wanted to cripple him. "Don't you dare hurt my master." Several mermaid powerhouses at the pulse condensation stage shouted and leapt forward. Numerous rays of sunflower water true power were like a long river in the sea. The terrifying, imposing manner was unstoppable. Scram! Qin Feng glanced over. Several mermaids of the Meridian's realm who were pouncing on him instantly stiffened and were unable to move. Damn it! It's a divine ability. Be careful of this evil thief's divine ability. Everyone, get out of the way. Qin Feng's sleeves were like flowing clouds, and an unparalleled force bombarded the mermaids. Bang, bang, bang. Several figures were blasted out like cannonballs. A trace of humiliation flashed in Yu Fuchen's eyes, and he quickly retreated. It's too late for you to react now. Qin Feng's figure flashed, and he appeared in front of Yu Fuchen. His palm blasted towards Yu Fuchen. The deep force overturned rivers and seas. Yu Fuchen's heart was filled with helplessness. Although he was a powerhouse at the second secret realm of the Pulse condensation stage, his combat strength was not his forte. I'll fight it out with you. Autumn Water Dragon roar. With a roar, his black hair fluttered and the jade crown on his head was dispersed by the imposing manner. Yu Fuchen's vast and unreserved true power erupted, and two huge water dragons flew out from his body. The two water dragons were like two long rivers with the momentum of the sea. Majestic and turbulent, they were like the roars of the nine heavens, unstoppable. Water attribute divine ability? Qin Feng's face was expressionless. He raised his head, extended a hand, and gripped the air. Ocean mastery. The two roaring water dragons seemed to have their necks pinched by this invisible hand, and they could not move. Yu Fuchen's face instantly turned red, and the veins on his neck pulsed. He tried his best to fight for the control of the two water dragons. Divine ability suppression. From afar, a beautiful woman in a palace dress revealed a strange look in her beautiful eyes. Obviously, the two of them both cultivated water attribute divine abilities, but Qin Feng's comprehension of the water attribute divine ability was higher, so he was able to suppress Yu Fuchen. Impossible, my water attribute divine ability, Water Dragon Roar, has already been upgraded to a second-level divine ability. He is just a martial artist at the 12th level of the martial way. How can he suppress me? Yu Fuchen roared in his heart. Yu Fuchen's eyes flashed with a trace of almost tangible hatred. Of course, it's impossible for others, but it's inevitable for me. With a cold smile, Qin Feng's heart moved, and he instantly escaped the control of the two water dragons from Yu Fuchen's hands. Roar! With two dragon roars, the two water dragons turned their heads and charged towards Yu Fuchen. They wanted to kill Yu Fuchen on the spot. Yu Fuchen! Snapper panicked and shouted. She gritted her teeth, and a water-blue glow surged on her body, turning into a water wall in front of Yu Fuchen. The mermaid race lived in the spiritual lake sea, and the ability to control water was a natural ability for them, as expected of the ancient mermaid race. However, with just this little bit of divine ability of yours, you want a beauty to save coward? You're just showing off in front of an expert. Qin Feng walked towards Yu Fuchen step by step. A hint of hatred flashed past Snapper's eyes. She transformed into a beam of red light and rushed towards Qin Feng. The light red coral-like longsword in her hand pierced through the air towards Qin Feng. Fast. It was extremely fast. A cold light tore through the void. Qin Feng's eyebrows twitched, and he pulled out his longsword. The North Underworld godly water sword slashed out, and an even more powerful sword light swept over. Bang! Bang! The cold light that pierced over was cut apart. The peerless sword chi struck the graceful figure, causing her skin to split apart, her flesh to explode, and her scales to collapse. Her peerlessly beautiful face was tainted with a trace of blood, while a trace of extreme terror was reflected in her eyes. Bang! The Mermaid Queen's figure crashed into the archway of the Tianyi Prefecture, and blood burst out. It was unknown whether she was dead or alive. You overestimate yourself. Qin Feng's face was expressionless, and he tightened his grip on the North Underworld godly water sword. What a pity. I wonder if she's dead or not. She's so beautiful, so why does she have to go against me? He had defeated Snapper, who was in the second pulse condensation stage, with one strike. He was in the 12th heavenly realm of the martial path, and he had used sword chi to crush Snapper, who was in the second pulse condensation stage. A trace of shock flashed across the beautiful eyes of the lady in the palace dress, and she stopped in her tracks. Although the lady in the palace dress knew that she was much stronger than the mermaid queen, she knew that she could not defeat Snapper with one strike. What the lady in the palace dress was most afraid of was that this young man was not just a little cold. The mermaid king was such a beautiful woman, but she didn't even blink and directly killed him. Qin Feng, retreating step by step, Yu Fuchen's eyes flashed with a trace of blood. Seeing Snapper being blasted away, Yu Fuchen's heart trembled, and he felt a fear that he had never felt before. He had always been hiding in the back, controlling the fates of others and watching them bleed and cry. He had always thought of himself as the controller of fate, and he enjoyed the process very much. He liked to watch his prey struggle. From his point of view, Qin Feng was precisely such a prey. He worked tirelessly to weave a trap for this prey, waiting for this prey to enter the trap and be slaughtered. However, he had never thought that one day Qin Feng would not follow his script at all and would directly come to kill him. Qin Feng's eyes flashed with a trace of ferocity. His body flashed like lightning, and the next moment, he appeared in front of Yu Fuchen. He grabbed Yu Fuchen's neck with one hand and slapped him hard. "Please recommend me. Please collect me. Please reward me. I'm close to the 12th place, just a little bit away from the top 10 of the recommendation list." Chapter 230. Just as the slap was about to land, Qin Feng suddenly felt an extreme sense of danger. Yu Fuchen raised his head, and a sinister look appeared in his eyes, as if he had succeeded in his scheme. Qin Feng immediately retracted his hand. His body was like a snake as he twisted at an unbelievable angle. Yu Fuchen opened his mouth, and a black light shot out from where Qin Feng was standing. Puchi! The black light pierced into a huge rock in front of the Tianyi prefecture. Under Qin Feng's gaze, the rock instantly melted into a pool of black liquid. What a dense, poisonous gas! Qin Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. This poison could even poison a sea revolution expert to death. What a sinister fellow! He actually hid such a poisonous needle in his mouth. With a stern look in his eyes, Qin Feng's figure flashed and appeared in front of Yu Fuchen in the next moment. Yu Fuchen's eyes revealed a trace of panic. Qin Feng actually dodged that poisonous needle. "No, I can't fight him with brute force. I can only use my wits. Return to the Tianyi prefecture and rely on the restrictions and mechanisms there to kill this kid." With a sinister look in his eyes, Yu Fuchen's figure shook and soared into the sky like a phantom. His figure was like a swimming dragon. Trying to run? Qin Feng's speed increased drastically and appeared behind Yu Fuchen in the next moment. His 5 fingers were like lightning as he grabbed onto one of Yu Fuchen's legs. He grabbed onto the tail of this swimming dragon. Not good. Yu Fuchen's eyes twitched violently. With a sinister smile in his eyes, Qin Feng grabbed onto the leg with one hand and smashed it into the ground at a 180-degree angle. Yu Fuchen's figure soared into the sky. His eyes flashed with panic and fear. This was the first time Yu Fuchen felt panic. Bang! The heavy object smashed onto the ground, causing the ground to shake. Yu Fuchen saw stars. His internal organs were in intense pain. Forcefully enduring the pain, Yu Fuchen circulated the water attribute true power in his body and tried his best to shake off that pair of iron-like hands. Not bad. Again. With a sinister smile in his eyes, Qin Feng did not give Yu Fuchen any chance. He lifted Yu Fuchen's leg and smashed him into the ground again. Bang! Yu Fuchen spat out a mouthful of blood. His true power was scattered, and his crown was broken. Boom, 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 boom. One after another, Qin Feng swung Yu Fuchen's leg like a windmill, charging into the Tianyi prefecture. Using Yu Fuchen as a human rod, he smashed everything in his path. He smashed everyone he met, and smashed everything he met. Cruel and tyrannical. The woman was so scared that her face turned pale. With the strength of one person, the entire Tianyi prefecture was flattened. Bang! A figure crashed onto the ground like a cannonball. Puchi! Yu Fuchen rolled on the ground like a dead fish. He lay there motionless. His eyes were unfocused, and his chest was heaving up and down. Blood was flowing out of his mouth. Even without looking, the woman knew that all of Yu Fuchen's ribs had been shattered, and his organs had been displaced. If not for the fact that the physique of a meridian condensation stage martial artist was much stronger than ordinary people and had a tenacious vitality, Yu Fuchen would have been smashed to death. With a flash, Qin Feng appeared in front of the woman. Everything that could be smashed in the Tianyi Prefecture had been smashed. The only person left standing in the Tianyi Prefecture was this woman. He glanced at Jade Fuchen, who had already fainted. Qin Feng's eyes, which were as cold as a blade, fell on the body of the woman in the palace dress. "Who are you to Yu Fuchen? Are you a sweetheart?" Qin Feng's eyes were unfriendly. "What sweetheart?" The woman took half a step back, and then a trace of anger appeared in her beautiful eyes. Just as she was about to flare up, she remembered how cruel this young man was, and a trace of uneasiness flashed across her face. The woman forced herself to calm down and said, "Junior brother, please don't misunderstand. I am Dongfang Qingli, the master of Surging Wave Cave at Jade Wave Lake, 100 miles away from this mountain. Yu Fuchen and I are just acquaintances. This time, I came to ask him for a 1,000-year-old water spirit pearl." Looking at the immobile Yu Fuchen, Dongfang Qingli couldn't bear to see him like this. "Junior brother, although I don't know what grudges you have with Yu Fuchen, we are still brothers and sisters of the same sect. Why do you have to be so cruel? Brothers and sisters of the same sect." Qin Feng laughed, then suddenly pointed at Yu Fuchen under his feet. "Why don't you ask him why he didn't consider that we were from the same sect when he was scheming against me and making enemies for me? Jin Xiaowang, Ao, Fong, Wei Qing Wang, and that expert who used the chaotic divine melody to kill me. If I wasn't somewhat skilled, I would have been killed by them already. Even so, there's still a lot of troubles. There's still a lot of experts outside who are eyeing me covetously. Do you think I'll let this bastard off so easily?" Qin Feng was furious. If it weren't for Yu Fuchen, he wouldn't have been in so much trouble. There was still that troublesome Ao cooing outside, ready to deal with him at any moment. Qin Feng couldn't vent his anger. With a sharp glint in his eyes, he grabbed Yu Fuchen and slammed him to the ground again. Bang! A huge rock was smashed to pieces. Yu Fuchen was covered in blood, lying limply in a pile of rubble. Dongfang Qingli was silent. Dongfang Qingli was speechless. If it were her, she wouldn't have let it go after being schemed against like this either. "Yu Fuchen, oh Yu Fuchen, I've already warned you. Schemes and tricks are just small tricks. Your own strength is the way to go. But you didn't listen. You schemed against me and acted recklessly." Dongfang Qingli retreated to the side. Coldly glancing at this absolute beauty, Qin Feng's eyes flickered with tyrannical fury. "At least you know what's good for you." At this moment, if this woman dared to speak up for Yu Fuchen, Qin Feng would also cripple her. Qin Feng looked at Yu Fuchen. All Stars College strictly forbade killing each other. It was fine to severely injure this kid, but killing him would probably attract the attention of All Stars College. At that time, Qin Feng would be in trouble. This was the unspoken rule of All Stars College. Martial artists couldn't be without courage and fighting, but they definitely couldn't engage in killing. Otherwise, All Stars College would pursue this matter to the end. Yu Fuchen's vitality was abnormally strong. His originally slack eyes slowly gathered together as he stared at the black-robed youth in front of him. His eyes were as venomous as a cold star dagger, and his breathing was weak. Yu Fuchen took a deep breath and roared. "Qin Feng, I, Yu Fuchen, swear that today's grudge will not rest until one of us is dead. It's either you die or I die. I've been fighting you for a long time. You don't have to say such harsh words." A trace of viciousness flashed in Qin Feng's eyes as he strode forward. A wisp of incomparably dark abyss demonic energy appeared in his palm from the abyssal demonic diagram. He stepped forward and pressed Yu Fuchen's head as the demonic energy quietly poured into the depths of Yu Fuchen's soul. This abyss demonic energy poured into the depths of Yu Fuchen's soul and would slowly cause Yu Fuchen to develop inner demons in the future, with this inner demon harassing him. Unless Yu Fuchen could find a way to eliminate this inner demon in the future, it would be difficult for him to progress in his cultivation in the future. Qin Feng's sinister eyes met Yu Fuchen's venomous eyes as he casually threw the mud-like Yu Fuchen to the ground. Qin Feng didn't even look at Dongfang Qingli. His gaze swept across the Tianyi prefecture and finally landed on Snapper, who had fainted on the ground. Although Snapper was struck by Qin Feng's sword, she was only severely injured and fainted. Qin Feng found another 2 good-looking mermaids and wrapped the 3 of them up before turning into a black rainbow and leaving the celestial lake. Yu Fuchen, I'll take these 3 mermaids as compensation for scheming against me. If he dares to scheme against me again in the future, be careful of your worthless life. He could only watch as Qin Feng took Snapper and the 2 good-looking mermaids away. Yu Fuchen was so angry that he vomited blood. Yu Fuchen didn't care about the other 2 mermaids, but Snapper was a furnace that he had nurtured for more than 10 years. He had protected himself for more than 10 years and used a secret technique to strengthen his foundation. Snapper had offered herself to him many times, but he had held back. This time, she was actually taken away by Qin Feng. Yu Fuchen's face turned purple as he suddenly spat out a mouthful of black blood. He couldn't take the blow anymore and fainted. This chapter was originally supposed to be published when the author got off work at midnight. Just now, a reader tipped me, so I squeezed out some time to publish it in advance. Here, I'd like to congratulate the second meridian condensation cultivator in this book. The second update will be in the afternoon, and the third update will be in the evening now. This book has advanced by another rank and is now ranked 12th. It's only a little bit away from the top 10. The top 10 have 5 updates every day, and the top 5 have 10 updates every day. Good luck, everyone. Chapter 231. Sky and Cauldron. After capturing Snapper, Qin Feng realized that this unconscious girl actually had the Sky Yin condensed charm physique. Qin Feng was pleasantly surprised. What was the Sky Yin condensed charm physique? It was an innate pure Yin physique. Such a girl was naturally rich in Yin essence and was the best cauldron for dual cultivation. Furthermore, the Sky Yin condensed charm physique was blessed by the heavens. It could interact with impure qi without being contaminated and could purify it on its own. It could even automatically condense Yin qi and increase its effectiveness. Snapper was still a virgin. It was obvious that Yu Fuchen was still waiting for the best moment to pluck Snapper's virgin body and break through to the sea of reincarnation realm. What an unexpected surprise. As expected, a horse won't grow fat without extra feed. A person who can strut around and act high and mighty must have some assets. If I plunder more, there might be an unexpected surprise. Qin Feng flew out and appeared on a hill in the periphery of the Great Lake. He revealed a trace of joy as he grabbed Snapper and the other 2 mermaids. He immediately opened up the Jade Sea Heaven and Earth and stuffed the 3 girls inside. He would train them properly when he returned to the Scarlet Sky Peak. The Sky and Cauldron was a complete waste in the hands of Yu Fuchen, but it was different in the hands of Qin Feng. Qin Feng was proficient in the Tao of medicine and was an alchemy grandmaster. After a period of nurturing, Qin Feng was confident that he could maximize the effects of the Sky Yin Cauldron. When that time came, he would pluck this girl's virgin primordial Yin and would definitely obtain unimaginable benefits. What a pity. Although the Sky Water Lake contains many water attribute spiritual herbs and precious water spirit pearls, it is still the property of All Stars College. Plundering Yu Fuchen wouldn't be a problem, but if he were to plunder All Stars College, the people of All Stars College would probably jump out immediately. At this moment, Qin Feng raised his head and looked up. Chirp, chirp. There was a crisp chirp in the sky. Qin Feng's figure flashed and appeared in the sea of clouds. A pair of snow-white wings spread out as he landed on the white jade-eye sparrow. Croak, croak, Brother Feng. How is the harvest this time? Lord Ba stared at Qin Feng with his 2 bird eyes. His small eyes were rolling around. Qin Feng glared at Lord Ba, and lowered his head to think. The white jade ice sparrow spread its wings and accelerated towards the capital of stars. Standing on the back of the ice sparrow, Qin Feng thought to himself expressionlessly, Yu Fuqin, the hidden danger, has finally been removed. Although I didn't kill Yu Fuqin directly this time, Yu Fuqin will need at least half a year to recover from his injuries. Moreover, with the inner demon keeping him in check, unless this person can eliminate the inner demon with great willpower, he is no longer a threat. The current plan is to find a way to increase my cultivation. There's still half a month until the Hidden Dragon Point competition officially begins. This time, not only will there be new powerhouses, but there will also be powerhouses of the second years. 2 years of geniuses will be participating in this grand event. There will definitely be some powerhouses of the second years that have already entered the pulse condensation period. Although Qin Feng was conceited, he was not arrogant. These days, Wan Xiaochuan and the others had collected some information about the 4 heads of the second years, as well as some other young powerhouses. Not to mention the 4 heads of the second years. Just the strength of the second years under the 4 heads were not below Qin Feng, the 4 heads of the new students. Qin Feng's eyes fell on the North Deep Godly Water sword on his back. It was not realistic to increase his strength and break through the 13th level of the martial path in half a month. However, it was not impossible to increase his battle strength in a short period of time. Qin Feng had already understood the advanced stage Spirit Martial Realm sword technique, the Gung Metal sword technique. However, Qin Feng felt that this high-class Spirit Martial level sword technique was not as simple as just killing insects. Previously, Qin Feng had already comprehended some of the mysteries of the Spirit Martial technique. This sword technique was very likely a set of mysterious sword techniques that could allow one to control a spiritual sword and fly in the sky. Let's give it a try. If I can control the sword and fly in the sky, there will be a qualitative change in my strength. Although Qin Feng had his suspicions, he had not tried it for a short period of time. Now, it might be an opportunity. Eager to try, Qin Feng looked down. Below the white jade eye sparrow was a sea of clouds. If he fell, he would be smashed to pieces. This trace of worry only circled around Qin Feng's heart for a moment before it was thrown away by Qin Feng. Qin Feng never lacked the courage to try. Gung Metal sword technique, unsheath, clang clang. Multitasking, Qin Feng poured a part of his spiritual imprint into the North Deep Godly Water sword on his back. A cold light flew out from his back. In an instant, it turned into a stream of light that surrounded Qin Feng. Qin Feng's spiritual imprint merged with the North Deep Godly Water sword, as if it had become one with the sword. With a leap, he jumped onto the North Deep Godly Water sword. In an instant, the North Deep Godly Water sword lost its balance. Qin Feng wrapped around the North Deep Godly Water sword and fell rapidly. Qin Feng tried his best to circulate the Gung Metal sword technique, trying to control the North Deep Godly Water sword with the sword technique. The North Deep Godly Water sword responded as if it had sensed something. However, the speed of the man and sword falling was too fast. Just as they were about to be smashed into meat paste, the white jade ice sparrow in the sky spread its wings and caught the falling man and sword. Again, Qin Feng felt something. However, the second attempt still failed. Again, riding the white jade ice sparrow back to the sky, Qin Feng tried again. Qin Feng felt more and more like it. However, he still failed. Again, this was already the 121st attempt. As his body fell, Qin Feng finally comprehended some of the mysteries of sword kinesis flight. Qin Feng discovered that to be able to enter the realm of sword kinesis flight, there were 2 major obstacles. The first was a spirit sword. Ordinary treasured swords could not allow martial artists to fly in the sky. Spirit swords were rare, rarely seen in the world. This was the first obstacle. The second was a set of sword techniques that could control spirit swords. Spirit swords usually possessed extraordinary power. Without a matching sword technique, there was no way to unleash the spirit sword's power. The Gung Metal sword technique just so happened to be such a set of sword techniques that could control spirit swords, especially above the 10th level. As long as one cultivated above the 10th level, they would possess a portion of the sword kinesis flight ability. Qin Feng cultivated the gung metal sword technique to the 12th level of perfection. In reality, he had already broken through the realm of sword kinesis flight. It was just that Qin Feng did not know it yet. Circulating according to the gung metal sword technique's 12th level, Qin Feng instantly controlled the North Deep Godly Water Sword. This was a completely new control method. It was different from the simple slashing and stabbing of the past. Qin Feng entered a new world. Qin Feng greedily comprehended the profoundness of the sword Tao within. So spirit swords can be used like this? An indescribable feeling arose in Qin Feng's heart. Every minute and every moment had a completely new comprehension. Just as Qin Feng comprehended all the profoundness of sword kinesis flight, Qin Feng's figure wrapped around the North Deep Godly Water Sword and plummeted towards the ground like a meteor. Whoosh! Whoosh! Seeing that he was about to fall to the ground, the white jade-eye sparrow could not help but want to go forward and grab Qin Feng. Suddenly, the North Deep Godly Water Sword erupted with a layer of sword light, enveloping Qin Feng's figure and turning into a stream of light that charged into the clouds once again. Quack! Luckily, he didn't fall to his death. Scared Lord 8 to death. On the back of the white jade-eye sparrow, Lord 8 patted his small chest. Big Brother Feng really knows how to play. Standing on the North Deep Godly Water Sword, Qin Feng suddenly circulated the gung metal slaughter sword art. His 10 fingers intersected and rapidly formed hand seals. Boom! Qin Feng's aura shook. Gung metal slaughter, level 10. The North Deep Godly Water Sword beneath his feet emitted an icy blue brilliance and suddenly split into two, turning into two identical North Deep Godly Water Swords. Again, level 11. Qin Feng's hand seals changed again, and the North Deep Godly Water Swords turned from 2 to 4. Gung Metal Slaughter Sword Art, level 12. Qin Feng's hand seals were completed, and a surge of soaring sword qi erupted. The North Deep Godly Water Swords revolving around him turned from 4 to 8. The 8 North Deep Godly Water Swords revolve around Qin Feng and appeared behind Qin Feng. It was as though Qin Feng was controlling 8 spirit swords by himself. Standing on the North Deep Godly Water Swords, Ling Yun moved as fast as lightning. Qin Feng's eyes revealed a trace of sharp light. Only now did Qin Feng know that he had truly mastered the Gung Metal Slaughter Sword Art, level 12. The Gung Metal Slaughter Sword Art was not just a sword art used to kill insects in the herb garden. It was a set of high-grade sword art that could truly control spirit swords to kill enemies. This sword art was a little strange. Without a spirit sword, the power of this sword art could only be used to kill insects. But if it was paired with a real spirit sword, the power of this sword art would become unimaginable. I just got off work. The second update is a little later, and there's a third update tonight. Also, congratulations to the birth of the third meridian condensation stage expert in this book. Congratulations to him. Sprinkle flowers, let's talk about the update rules. 10,000 book coins plus 1 update. 100,000 book coins plus 10 updates. 10,000 book coins is about 100. 100,000 book coins is 1,000. Also, those in the top 10 will get 5 updates a day, and those in the top 5 will get 10 updates a day. Right now, I'm ranked 12th, just a little bit more. Chapter 232. In the Sea of Clouds, a blue light streaked across the sky. Brother Feng, you're too fast. Wait for us. After the blue light, a huge white bird flew over. This white bird already had the shape of a phoenix. It seemed to be a snow-white phoenix, and when it flew, it brought with it a sharp chill. The most surprising thing was that this white bird also had a strange bird that was making a fuss. With a turn of his body, a black robe appeared from the clouds. Qin Feng stepped on the northern underworld godly water sword and appeared in the sky above the capital of stars. In the distance, an inconceivably huge city appeared in his eyes. Majestic and majestic towering and straight. This terrifying giant city exuded a majestic aura. He had arrived at the capital of stars. The speed of the Imperial sword flight was beyond Qin Feng's imagination. This speed was not slower than some flying beasts that were known for their speed. Let's go to the Southern Flower Gate. All Stars College had set up a heavenly gate on the cloud platform in the distance. Generally speaking, martial experts who flew here would have to enter through this gate. If one directly charged into the capital of stars, they would be seen as a provocation by the experts of All Stars College. At best, they would be suppressed by the experts, but at worst, they might be killed on the spot. The Southern Flower Gate stood above the sea of clouds. This was a floating island, floating in the vast sea of clouds. A majestic, giant gate stood above the island. Southern Flower Gate. From afar, a majestic aura could be felt, as if it came from the immemorial era. Two lazy youths carrying two large sabers were leaning against the gate, checking the tokens of the experts passing by. Beside the two, there was a group of star soldiers and star generals surging with killing intent. It seemed that the inspection of the experts passing by was very thorough. The two in the lead were dressed in armor. Although they were lazy, their bodies emitted a killing intent. This was the aura of an expert who had killed his way out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. These were the true elites of All Stars College. In the past, although the Southern Flower Gate also inspected people, it was never this strict. The atmosphere is a bit strange. Did something happen at the capital of stars? Qin Feng thought to himself with a serious expression. In front of the South Flower Gate, several experts descended from the surrounding sea of clouds, either riding strange beasts or carrying weapons on their backs. Hearing a sound coming from the sea of clouds, he looked up and saw a black-robed youth flying out of the sea of clouds on a spirit sword. Behind the black-robed youth, a large snow-white bird gracefully descended. Riding a flying sword? What a young man. I wonder where he is from. A middle-aged man, riding a black tiger, looked at the black-robed young man with interest. Flying on a sword, it must be another expert in the way of the sword. Behind him, a tall and beautiful woman in red with a charming face and a provocative figure smiled sweetly. She smiled. They should also be here for the Hidden Dragon Points competition. These days, many young experts are rushing over to the capital of stars. I heard that a few more stars were lit up on the myriad star steel a few days ago. Oh, is that so? The eyes of the middle-aged man on the black tiger lit up. Do you know what star it is? Or its attributes? One of the two youths who were in charge of guarding the gate took a look at the token of the middle-aged man on the tiger and urged, "Okay, let's go quickly. Don't block the gate." Not long after, the beautiful woman in red passed the inspection. "Junior brother, it's your turn. Please take out your myriad stars token or your identity jade butterfly." One of the youths in armor looked at the black-robed youth. Qin Feng moved slightly, and a silver-white token appeared on his palm. The youth took the token and closed his eyes slightly. After a while, he opened his eyes with a slightly moved expression and a gentle expression. The youth returned the token to Qin Feng and said with a smile, "So it's the cave master of the Scarlet Sky, Peaks, Jade Water Cave. Junior brother, please pass." Qin Feng nodded and was about to walk slowly. Suddenly, Qin Feng raised his eyebrows and stopped in his tracks. He turned his head and asked with a smile, "May I ask this senior brother, did something happen in the capital of stars? Why did the inspection here suddenly become so strict?" With a serious expression, the youth frowned and looked at Qin Feng. After pondering for a moment, the youth suddenly said, "Well, junior brother is an elite of our All-Stars College, so I won't hide it from you. This time, there is indeed a small situation. According to the intelligence of the All-Stars College, it seems that a small group of experts from the Demon Temple have sneaked into the capital of stars. Their intentions are unknown." The Demon Temple. Qin Feng's expression changed slightly, and he was shocked. The Demon Temple was an ancient first-rate faction in the domain of desolation. It was unknown how long ago it was born, but it was a colossus in the domain of desolation. It was the overlord of the domain of desolation. It was rumored that this faction was formed by the foreign races and some ancient demon god races. This faction had always been the sworn enemy of All Stars College. The two could be said to be like fire and water. After fighting for several thousand years, the blood feud accumulated would not end until one of them died. The Demon Temple and the Myriad Star Academy were engaged in bloody battles at almost every moment. It was just that the big battles were in front of them. All Stars College had a ranking called the Demon Hunting Ranking. There were many demon hunting missions that targeted the experts of the Demon Temple. However, in these years, with the birth of the three enclosures of All Stars College, the offensive and defensive positions of the two sides had swapped. In the past, the two sides were evenly matched, but in these years, All Stars College had gradually gained the upper hand. The experts of the Demon Temple had been blocked 10,000 miles away for several hundred years. The capital of stars had not seen any traces of the Demon Temple spies for several hundred years. Coincidentally, the Hidden Dragon Point competition is starting, and there are actually spies from the Demon Temple appearing. Looks like it's going to be another period of trouble. Qin Feng was sensitive enough to smell the pressure before the storm. His figure flashed, and he left the Southflower Gate. He flew on his sword toward the Mystic Guild's territory. An hour later, Qin Feng arrived at the central street where All Stars College was located. Flying was not allowed here, so Qin Feng placed Silly Bird in the Jade Sea Heaven and Earth. Qin Feng brought Bai Yi alone to All Stars College. Qin Feng was prepared to receive the second level of the art of the Origin Stars first. Just as he walked into All Stars College, Qin Feng heard discussions in twos and threes at the entrance. Qin Feng was attracted by the whispers of a few people. A few days ago, the Star Steel had a strange phenomenon. A new Star Lord was born. I heard that someone in this batch of new students condensed a natal star mark. Does the star ranking show the names of those Star Lords? Not really. As everyone knows, unless the Star Lord voluntarily reveals their name and information, only their stars will be shown on the star ranking. I also heard about this. This time, it seems that more than 10 stars have a new Star Lord. It can't be that exaggerated, right? It hasn't even been 10 days since the first comprehensive assessment, and more than 10 stars suddenly appeared on the star ranking. Could it be that more than 10 people condensed a natal star mark together in 10 days? Isn't this too exaggerated? There are so many monstrous geniuses in this batch. Not only that, 2 golden stars appeared on the star ranking at the same time. 3 purple stars. One of them shouted, "That's impossible." As everyone knows, the colors emitted by the stars on the Star Steel are divided into 3 grades. According to the star's appearance, the lowest grade is white, the next grade is silver, the highest grade is purple, and the highest grade is gold. That golden star was of the best quality. It's 1 in 10,000, the leader of all stars, the commander of all stars. How can 2 stars appear at the same time? Requesting recommendation votes. Requesting collection. My ranking is still 12th. Always lacking by a bit. Chapter 233. The Star Steel was an ancient steel that had existed since ancient times. Every time a powerful person from All Stars College had condensed a life star, the steel would sense it and automatically appear on the list. Qin Feng slowed down and followed them into All Stars College. He heard someone say proudly, "Of course it's true. I saw it with my own eyes. I even went to the Star Steel to take a closer look. It's true." Then what are those 2 golden stars? Someone couldn't help but be curious. Many people's gazes were attracted by their conversation and landed on that person. That young man became even more proud. He raised his head and deliberately raised his voice. If one were to say that these 2 stars are one ice and one fire, then the other is fire. The ice star is the king of ice, the ice soul star, and the fire star is the king of fire, the Siska star. Both are the most superior chief stars. What? Both are chief stars? Someone clicked his tongue. They are really amazing. They are actually 2 chief stars. Among the most superior stars, chief stars are known for their tyrannical power. With the power of the ice and fire chief stars, the strength of these 2 star lords will increase greatly. Someone said with envy. It's not just that. The potential of a golden star is incomparable to that of other stars. They might even have a chance to become an ancient master star. An ancient master star could suppress an entire region. Rumor had it that there were only 14 ancient master stars in the sky. Every time one of them returned, there would be one less spot. If all 14 of them were complete, then no matter how strong the others were, they would all be auxiliary stars. It's actually the Ice Soul Star and Suzuka's star. Qin Feng felt a bit strange as he listened to their conversation from afar. Logically speaking, Qin Feng should have condensed a life star as well. Also, his life star was the most terrifying star. According to its quality, it should be one of the golden stars. Why didn't the star Steel show his god-slaying star? However, if the Ice Soul Star Lord guessed correctly, it should be those two. Only those two have the talent to be able to attract the resonance of the golden star. Qin Feng guessed. Ice Fire Chief Star? It is said that there are a lot of new students who cultivate ice and fire, but there shouldn't be many who can condense their life stars in such a short time. Some of the youths seem to be deep in thought. Actually, there's no need to guess the answer. This year, it's not rare to see people cultivating the power of ice and fire, but there are only a few outstanding ones among them. Among the fire attribute power, the most stunning one is undoubtedly the vermilion bird's head, Ji Huang, and the chief of the ice attribute power should be that glacier fairy, Lu Qingxue. Another person voiced out the thoughts of the majority. That's right. If I'm not wrong, then the Vermilion Bird Star Lord should be Ji Huang, and the other Ice Soul Star Lord should be the Glacier Fairy, Lu Qingxue. Qin Feng's eyes flickered. He turned around and walked toward the Technique Imparting Hall. Just as Qin Feng entered the Capital of Stars. In a luxurious mansion in the Capital of Stars, there was a person dressed in a black robe who was hidden in the shadows reporting to a beautiful woman dressed in a gorgeous long robe. This beautiful woman was tall, slender, and slightly plump. Her temperament was luxurious and dignified, and her clothes were gorgeous, causing others to have a feeling that she was unattainable. If there were any dignitaries in the Capital of Stars here, they would definitely recognize the true identity of this beautiful woman. The Shao clan, the rising mistress of the Shao clan in the Capital of Stars. It was precisely this resourceful, exquisite, and famous mistress that allowed the Shao clan to pick up the ancient glory of a 1,000-year-old clan from a clan that was gradually declining. Moreover, it grew stronger with each passing day, becoming one of the top 10 clans in the Capital of Stars. This beautiful mistress was a legend in the Capital of Stars, especially her beautiful appearance and outstanding figure. Currently, the most popular rumors in the streets were the affairs of this beautiful mistress. In the pavilion in the garden, Mistress Xiao's beautiful eyes were flowing. She was tall and slender, and her luxurious temperament made people unable to bear to blaspheme her. Looking at the sea of clouds in the distant sky, the golden sunlight shone on Mistress Xiao's beautiful and slender figure, setting off her tall and beautiful body, making her look like a goddess in the sky. The black-robed person was hidden in the shadows under the sunlight. Lady Flower Empress, everything is ready. We only lack the east wind. The black-robed person laughed strangely. Flower Empress, if this matter can be completed in one go, then you and I will have made a great contribution to the temple. But Flower Empress, this matter is not a small matter. It concerns our lives and future. Did you really figure out where the Hidden Dragon Point competition will be held? This time, All Stars College has chosen dozens of areas to be the venue for the competition. Those old fogies from All Stars College deliberately set up a maze. It's really hard to guess where the competition will be held this time. Don't worry, this Empress will not make a mistake. But if this matter succeeds, I'm afraid that this Empress' 10 years of operation in the Capital of Stars will turn into flowing water. The beautiful woman's eyes revealed a trace of regret. Lady Flower Empress, don't worry. This time, if we can capture all the geniuses from All Stars College participating in the Hidden Dragon Point competition, the temple will naturally make up for our losses. The black-robed person smiled sinisterly and licked his dry lips. His eyes occasionally swept over the beautiful woman, revealing a trace of secret lust. Lowering his head, the black-robed person's dark green eyes flickered. I hope so. Otherwise, this empress will definitely not be a pushover. The beautiful woman's face revealed a trace of frost. Hee, Lady Flower Empress, don't worry. Emperor's eyes revealed a trace of a sneer. He then raised his head and said sinisterly, "But this time, it can also be said that our luck has come. This time, the number of monstrous geniuses participating in the Hidden Dragon Points competition is the highest in history. If we can kill all of them, then the Myriad Star Academy will suffer an unprecedented loss." Emperor, don't be too optimistic. All Stars College is definitely not easy to deal with. You and I both know the strength of All Stars College. Moreover, All Stars College has the backing of experts from Xingqian School. This time, if we want to succeed, we still need the help of the elders. But even so, this Empress estimates that we can only delay it for 7 days. Emperor's dark green eyes were sinister as he laughed sinisterly. 7 days is completely enough. It's just a bunch of brats. With this old man taking action, I will definitely kill all of them. Flower Empress saw the unconcealable lust in Emperor's eyes. Her beautiful eyes were instinctively filled with displeasure as she thought to herself, "This Emperor is really a perverted demon. This time, I definitely can't let him take action alone. If I let him lead the team alone, it will most likely cause problems." Flower Empress knew that this time's operation was not ordinary. Not only did the elders of the temple hope to kill All Stars College's elites in one fell swoop, they also hoped to use All Stars College's elites to temper some of the temple's younger generation experts. They hoped to use All Stars College's elites as whetstones to temper a group of true peerless geniuses. In the afternoon, Qin Feng walked out of the law teaching hall. Relying on the All Stars token, Qin Feng painfully paid 100 points and 10 merit points. Qin Feng successfully received the second stage of the Art of the Star's Origin. The first stage of the Art of the Star's Origin was free. But after the second stage, one had to pay points and merit points to purchase it. The second stage of the Art of the Star's Origin cost 100 points and 10 merit points. Qin Feng glanced at the price of the third level of the Art of Primordial Stars. It was 500 points and 50 merit points. As for the fourth stage of the Art of the Star's Origin, it was simply too expensive. It required 2,000 points and 200 merit points to exchange for it. As for the fifth stage of the Art of the Star's Origin, just looking at the string of zeros made Qin Feng dizzy. The price was simply too high to make one despair. This is the first update, the second update in the afternoon, and the third update in the evening. During this period of time, the fifth update will be temporarily stopped. It will be the third update. There will be a burst of 20 updates in the middle of next month. My character is guaranteed. I will let my brothers have a good time looking for recommendation tickets, collection, reward still the 12th place. Chapter 234. As for the 6th level of the Art of the Stars, in addition to the terrifying amount of points and merit points, one also needs special privileges and identity. Qin Feng bitterly smiled. At this moment, after purchasing the second level of the Art of the Stars, Qin Feng didn't have many points left. 533 points, except for the 400 points he used to buy the soul refining pill. This time, he used another 100 points, leaving him with only 33 points. His 20 merit points had been completely used up, spending money like water. Qin Feng shook his head as he walked out of the teaching hall. In All Stars College, points are never enough to spend. It seems that I have to take some missions to fill my pockets. The light carriage shuttled through the wide roads of All Stars College. On both sides were quiet ancient trees. Students walked in groups of 2s and 3s. Many students were discussing the essence of martial arts. Qin Feng saw several martial arts halls. All Stars College's martial arts powerhouses were teaching tyrannical martial arts, saber arts, sword arts, and whip arts. 18 types of weapons. These halls were very lively. Gale Sword Art. This is a human martial level middle grade sword art. This sword art is known for its dexterity. The emphasis is on the speed of the sword. The wrist must be flexible, the feet must be light, and the sword must be fast. On the stage, a pulse condensation stage martial artist, was explaining. At the same time, a long sword danced in his hand like a gust of wind. Many new students were mesmerized by this. Many new students would often come here to listen to some martial arts experts teach them the essentials of martial arts and seek answers to their questions. When Qin Feng passed by, he only stopped to listen for a moment and then left. Most of the martial arts teaching in the martial arts lecture hall were human martial level martial arts techniques. And profound martial arts techniques required students to spend points in order to learn. Qin Feng walked to the small path. Looking at the youthful figures, it was as if he saw himself in his previous life. For the cultivation method, for the immortality of martial arts, he worked tirelessly. Qin Feng still remembered that in order to break through to the pulse condensation period, he had gone to a place where the disciples of a large sect roamed. He had killed dozens of large sect disciples in order to obtain the method to break through to the pulse condensation period from their mouths. Because of this, Qin Feng had been chased by this sect for over 100 years. Qin Feng prepared to leave All Stars College. When they passed by the Battle God Arena, they suddenly heard a series of exclamations coming from the arena. Many students in the surroundings hurried towards the arena. Qin Feng's gaze landed in the direction of the Martial God Arena. This was the place where the geniuses of All Stars College tested their martial Tao. There were many ways for martial artists to verify their strength, but there was only one way that was the most direct. Battle. By stimulating one's potential in battle, one would be able to complete a breakthrough. Are there any experts fighting here? Qin Feng was curious. Junior sister, may I ask what's going on at the Battle God Arena? Why is it so lively? Qin Feng grabbed a young girl who was rushing over. This was a young girl in green clothes with small freckles. She was a little unhappy when someone suddenly grabbed her. Turning her head, she quickly froze. Qin Feng looked at the young girl strangely. Her gaze fell on him, and he suddenly returned a smile. The young man had a delicate appearance and wore a black robe. His originally cold aura had a trace of warmth and brilliance when he smiled, as if spring had returned to the earth and the cold winter had melted. Although his age was similar to the other students, with a trace of immaturity, there was a faint special smell on him that the other students did not have. The young girl's face was a little red. Her original anger had been replaced with a trace of shyness. Why aren't you talking? Qin Feng looked at the young girl whose face had suddenly turned red and whose head had lowered to her chest. No. The young girl was a little flustered and stammered. Senior brother, there is a life and death battle in the Battle God Arena. A life and death battle. This was a fight to the death. All Stars College forbade fellow disciples from killing each other, but if there was a great enmity between them, they could apply for a life and death battle at the same time. On the arena, it was either you or me. Life and death. This was the bloodiest battle. This life and death battle is extremely rare. Who is it that insists on fighting to the death? After pondering for a while, a trace of doubt appeared in his heart. His eyes moved slightly. Qin Feng turned and rushed towards the Battle God Arena. At this moment, the surroundings of the martial god sparring arena were completely surrounded. There was a sea of people here. All Stars College martial artists who had come to watch the battle were all crowded around. When Qin Feng walked in, he heard some of the young people in the front row whispering. The difference is too big. This is simply a one-sided massacre. This freshman is simply crazy. He is challenging A.O. Shun, who is at the peak of the 6th heaven, with his 5th heaven cultivation base. It's too tragic. This A.O. Shun is deliberately torturing his opponent. At this moment, among the crowd, there were a few figures anxiously looking at the Battle God Arena. Their eyes looked around anxiously. After a while, their eyes suddenly revealed a trace of surprise. Chief Qin Feng, you are. Qin Feng looked at the few unfamiliar figures and was slightly stunned. Qin Feng did not have any impression of these young people. Qin Feng glanced at the few young people's robes. Looking at their clothes, they seemed to be the disciples of Tua Courtyard. Tua Courtyard, the place where All Stars College slaughtered berserk beasts. Chief Qin Feng, quickly think of a way to help Li Zhuang. Junior brother Li is about to die. One of the young people who seemed to be the leaders said anxiously. Chief. The surrounding students were shocked. One by one, they turned around and looked at the black-robed young man who was walking over. It's Qin Feng, the new chief of the Azure Dragon College. Someone was surprised and stepped aside to make a path. Because of his relationship with the goddess of glacier, Lu Qingxue, Qin Feng's reputation had spread far and wide. What's going on? His figure flashed and appeared in front of the group. Qin Feng frowned. Li Zhuang was one of Qin Feng's few friends in All-Stars College. During the Shuiyu trial, Qin Feng, Lu Qinghe, and Lu Qingyang were enemies. Everyone kept a distance from him, afraid that they would be implicated by him. Only this young man stood by his side. Even the fact that Li Zhuang was able to enter Tua courtyard was because of Qin Feng. It's Ao Shun. Ao Shun knew that Junior Brotherly liked Yuku Air, but he purposely got close to Yuku Air and repeatedly insulted Junior Brotherly in front of others. And that bitch Yuku Air. She knew that Junior Brotherly was infatuated with her, but she colluded with Ao Shun to make Junior Brotherly fight to the death. The leader of the group said hatefully, Ao Shun. Qin Feng smelled a hint of conspiracy. Qin Feng asked, is this Ao Shun a member of the Cloud Water Empire's imperial family? Qin Feng's eyes are like torches. That's right, this Ao Shun is a member of the Cloud Water Empire's Ao family. That bitch Yuka Air climbed the social ladder because she saw Ao Shun's identity as a member of the imperial family. They are bent on killing Junior Brotherly Ah. The group of Tua courtyard's young men were indignant. All of a sudden, exclamations came from the crowd. Qin Feng raised his head and saw Li Zhuang's frail figure being kicked into the air. Li Zhuang fell to the ground with a loud bang. Li Zhuang raised his head unwillingly and spat out a mouthful of blood. A yellow-robed young man coldly stared at Li Zhuang. His eyes were filled with coldness and complacency. When he raised his head, he froze for a moment, as though he had discovered Qin Feng in the crowd. In the next instant, the corners of his mouth curled up into a cold arc provocation. Qin Feng frowned. No one was allowed to interfere in this kind of life and death battle. If one were to forcefully interfere, it would attract the interference of the experts from All-Stars College. They could even kill the person who broke the rules. Qin Feng's face was gloomy. Could it be that he could only watch as Li Zhuang was defeated and killed? This is the second update. There will be another one later tonight. Just a little bit more, and I'll be in the top 11. Chapter 235. It seems that this is a trap aimed at me. This Ao Shun should be Ao Kuen's man. Li Zhuang should have been implicated by me. Looking at the gloomy and smug Ao Shun, Qin Feng's eyes flashed, a trace of killing intent jumping in his eyes. Isn't this head Qin Feng? How rare. At this moment, a handsome and gloomy youth dressed in black walked over from the side. A group of black-clothed martial artists walked over, and the crowd automatically opened up a path. From the whispers of the crowd, Qin Feng knew the origin of this youth. This person was called Zhao Xianming, a very powerful warrior of the Five Elements Battle Squad. Zhao Xianming slowly walked over, her eyes cold and gloomy. She had blue eyes and white eyebrows. Behind her was a tall youth with cold eyes and a cruel, murderous aura. These young martial artists' eyes were cold and filled with murderous intent. The weakest of them was at the pulse condensation period. The aura of the leader, Zhao Xianming, was above everyone else. The aura he emitted made Qin Feng feel strangely oppressed. A powerful aura gushed over, and Qin Feng felt a terrifying sense of danger. This person was very terrifying. Qin Feng felt that if he fought with this person, he would most likely be killed. 10% chance to escape, 10% chance to seriously injure or kill this person. Qin Feng coldly looked at him. Zhao Xianming, Ao Kuen's man. Zhao Xianming was very polite and very elegant. I'm not talented. Ao Kuen, big brother Ao, is my sworn brother. Zhao Xianming sized up Qin Feng, his gloomy eyes falling on Qin Feng. Qin Feng seemed to be stared at by a poisonous snake. Zhao Xianming cupped his hands and said seriously, I have heard of Sir Qin Feng for a long time. I heard that Sir Qin Feng relied on your strength to bully the weak and attacked young Master Ao Feng. Although young Master Ao Feng doesn't get along well with Brother Ao, he's Brother Ao's brother after all. Since Sir Qin Feng didn't give Brother Ao face, Brother Ao is magnanimous and doesn't want to bicker with you. However, as Brother Ao's brother, I can't stand it. I've heard that this Li Zhuang is related to young Master Qin Feng. Originally, this Zhao was prepared to cut off this person's head as a gift for young Master Qin Feng. But since young Master Qin Feng has already arrived at the sparring field, there is no harm in personally accepting this gift. Zhao Xuanming's tone was neither fast nor slow. However, the meaning in his words was not the slightest bit cruel and vicious. Li Zhuang was one of Qin Feng's few good friends, and Zhao Xianming actually targeted Li Zhuang. A dragon has a reverse scale. Anyone who touches it will die. A trace of uncontrollable killing intent flashed across Qin Feng's face. Many of the All-Stars College students looked at this person with fear in their eyes. They retreated continuously as if they were a scourge. This Zhao Xianming is so cruel and terrifying. His temperament is like that of a wolf. On a high ground in the martial god drill field, a beautiful woman in white robes looked around with a trace of displeasure in her eyes. This woman in white was none other than the goddess of glacier, Lu Qingxue. There were several Sky Sea Pavilion experts beside Lu Qingxue. Hearing this, a pretty girl in a yellow palace dress said lightly, "Junior Sister Lu, this Zhao Xianming is not simple. This person is a famous warrior in the Five Element Squad. He is tyrannical in strength and vicious in nature. He does things by hook or by crook. Coupled with his cruel methods, he has earned the title of Wolf King. Although he is only in the second meridian's condensation stage, many third and fourth meridian's condensation stage experts have suffered losses in his hands. If Junior Sister Lu encounters him, you must be careful." A trace of fear flashed across Lu Qingxue's eyes. This person's temperament was indeed terrifying. Zhao Xianming saw the murderous intent on Qin Feng's face and laughed. "Brother Qin seems to really want to kill me. I advise Brother Qin to give up on this idea. You're not my opponent. Although you are the head of the new students of the Azure Dragon Institute and have a great reputation, in the eyes of us experts who have experienced many battles, you new students are really too immature. You're like sheep. If we enter the forest, killing you will be as easy as lifting a finger." Zhao Xuanming's face did not have the slightest trace of contempt, as if what he said was the truth. Qin Feng said to himself, "A self-righteous pervert who thinks that he has killed some experts and mastered some methods. You call yourself an expert, but in fact, you are just an arrogant pervert. You have been blinded by power, and your mind is controlled by greed and killing. The devil in your heart has seeped into your internal organs. You will never be able to break through the sea of reincarnation realm in this lifetime." Qin Feng was not angry. Qin Feng had encountered many perverts who were overconfident like him. Undeniably, these perverts were indeed very powerful. Because of their stubbornness, they often achieved unimaginable achievements in a certain field. "Qin Feng, your efforts are futile. You think you can shake my mind like this? You want me to spare Li Zhuang's life? You are too naive. No matter what, Li Zhuang will not be able to escape death today." Zhao Xianming squinted his eyes and glanced at Qin Feng. His body was still calm, but his eyes were getting colder and colder, like a hungry wolf in the mountains showing its killing intent. The faces of the few youths in the institute turned pale, but they were afraid of Zhao Xuanming's power and did not dare to speak. That may not be true. A sinister smile appeared in his eyes. Qin Feng turned around, and his eyes fell on the martial god arena. At this moment, the battle between Li Zhuang and Ao Shun on the martial god arena had reached its climax. Li Zhuang's weapon was a long saber on his back. He waved the long saber and tried his best to defend. What he used was a high human martial level saber technique, Clear Wind Chop. At this moment, Li Zhuang was already at a disadvantage. He was only at the fifth heaven of the martial path. Ao Shun was a warrior at the peak of the sixth heaven of the martial path. He had an overwhelming advantage. Moreover, Ao Shun had mastered many family secret techniques. On the arena, Li Zhuang was already seriously injured. His flesh was torn under his blood-stained clothes, and he coughed up blood several times. He was like a madman, using clear wind chop mechanically. Although Ao Shun could not get close to him for the time being. But many of the experts present knew that once this saber technique was completed, his momentum would weaken and he would become a fish on the chopping board. Ao Shun's expression was neither fast nor slow. His body was like a dragon shuttling under Li Zhuang's saber technique. He was like an experienced hunter, staring at his prey. He could even pay attention to Zhao Xianming. The corner of his eyes occasionally fell on Qin Feng, with a trace of cruelty and ridicule. He was very proud. Looking at this scene, Zhao Xianming nodded slightly, and her probing gaze fell on Qin Feng. "How is it? Your Excellency Qin Feng, are you satisfied with this greeting gift of mine? It's too early for you to be happy. So what if you're at the peak of the sixth heaven of the martial path? Although Li Zhuang is at a disadvantage, it's not like he has no chance of winning." Qin Feng shook his head. "Do you believe that he can kill Ao Shun with just one saber strike?" Zhao Xianming smiled faintly. What a fool. On the arena, Ao Shun heard Qin Feng's words. He glanced at the black-robed young man with a sneer in his eyes and disdain in his heart. What chief? He really doesn't know how to brag. Li Zhuang, even if I let him use one hand, he won't be able to hurt me. I think this chief is just SOSO. He doesn't live up to his reputation. Looking for recommendation votes. Looking for collection. Chapter 236. Qin Feng looked at Ao Shun coldly, and a set of saber techniques appeared in Qin Feng's mind. Supreme Demon Blade. This was a set of saber techniques recorded in the legendary manual of Unruffled Sages. Techniques that could be recorded in the manual of Unruffled Sages were naturally the best of the best. The Supreme Demon Blade had a shocking origin. This was a set of saber techniques that dominated the world. It was a forbidden technique. Rumor had it that an almighty once used this saber to split open the esophagus of the earth abyss and turned into a demon. In fact, in Qin Feng's opinion, this was a strange saber technique that consumed one's hatred, anger, and vitality as the price. With one slash, one would forget about the saber, forget about oneself, and forget about oneself. If one did not have great hatred in their heart, it would be difficult to execute such a move. Li Zhuang was betrayed by the woman he loved and was schemed against. He was in a desperate situation, so this saber technique was suitable for him. Most importantly, this saber technique could be mastered quickly. The stronger the hatred in one's heart, the faster one could comprehend it, and the more powerful it would be. Qin Feng controlled his mind and imprinted the essence of the Supreme Demon Blade's first move, the Heartless Saber, into Li Zhuang's mind. At this moment, Li Zhuang's saber was exhausted. Ao Shun saw the opportunity and smiled cruelly. His palms were infused with true qi, and like waves crashing on the shore, he aimed his palms at Li Zhuang's exposed chest. If Li Zhuang was hit by this attack, he would die without a doubt. Li Zhuang's eyes were filled with anger. The flames of unwillingness burned in his eyes, and his hatred solidified. In the distance, a few hundred steps away, a sweet-looking girl looked at this scene with a faint smile in her eyes. "Sister Yu, Brother Li is infatuated with you. Can you ask Brother Ao to let him go?" On the side, a cute girl in green walked up and tugged at Yuko-er's clothes, looking anxious. "Hua Qiong, this is between men. I can't do anything about it." Yuko-er's face was indifferent. She did not say anything and quietly shook off Hua Qiong's hand. Hua Qiong panicked. But Yuko-er frowned and interrupted coldly. "What but?" Li Zhuang brought all of this upon himself. "Who is he? And who am I, Yuko-er? A disciple from a poor family wants to eat swan meat? Furthermore, I, Yuko-er, did not force him to enter the life and death arena. He is the one who wants to die. This lady cannot save him." Hua Qiong staggered a few times, her body unsteady. Raising his head, he saw that Ao Shin's palm had already reached Li Zhuang's chest. Ah! The young girl cried out in grief. The next moment, Li Zhuang was about to leave the arena. It was gloomy, mournful, and carried a trace of crazy hatred that would not rest until one of them was dead. A saber light flashed by. Ao Shin's charging figure stopped, and his cold face froze. Boom! There was a loud explosion, and in the next moment his body exploded into a bloody mist, and his limbs were torn into pieces. Li Zhuang appeared 10 steps away. Ao Shin was dead. Whoosh whoosh. The entire martial god teaching field instantly fell silent. Reversal. A shocking reversal. The entire place was shaken, and everyone was silent. Everyone's eyes fell on Li Zhuang, and their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. The saber light that could demonize everything was still in front of them. With one slash, the sky was demonized. A moment later, the entire martial god teaching field exploded, and everyone's eyes fell on Li Zhuang. What kind of saber technique is that? What a terrifying saber light. He killed the arrogant Ao Shin with one slash. What a crazy saber intent. I saw a scalp tingling intent from it. It hated the heavens, the earth, and the heavens. That kind of saber intent made it hard for people to breathe. This Li Zhuang pretended to be a pig to eat the tiger, and left a trump card. On the spectator stand, Yuku Air's face turned pale. Ao Shin was dead? Crack! Zhao Xianming clenched his fists, and his eyes fell on Ao Shin, and a crazy aura burst out. It's you, Qin Feng. How dare you interfere in a battle of life and death? The coldness in Zhao Xuanming's eyes was so real that it was about to burst out. Zhao Xianming lost his composure for the first time. Ao Shin was dead. Ao Shin was different from Ao Feng. Ao Shin was the younger brother of Ao Kuan. This time, Zhao Xianming had calculated everything, and it was foolproof. He used Yuku Air to anger Li Zhuang, and then used the opportunity to kill Li Zhuang, and then enraged Qin Feng, and then set up a trap to kill this popular chief. Who would have thought that the first part of the plan would fail? The foolproof plan had a huge flaw. Zhao Xianming couldn't explain it to Ao Kuan. Dog eyes. Qin Feng didn't seem to see Zhao Xuanming's terrifying wolf-like eyes. Zhao Xianming, don't be like a dog, biting people when you open your mouth. Qin Feng was tit for tat. If you have evidence, you can apply to the elders of All Stars College for a ruling. If you don't, then shut up. Don't let others see you as a mad dog, biting people when you see them. Zhao Xuanming's face became colder. Qin Feng, if you have the guts, then fight me to the death with a martial god. Tilting his head, Qin Feng looked at Zhao Xianming with a cold smile. Qin Feng's eyes fell on Zhao Xianming. If you have the guts, then castrate yourself. Your IQ is really worrying. You are a strong second year, and I'm just a new student of All Stars College. Do you think I'll fight you to the death? There was a murderous aura on Zhao Xuanming's body. His face was green and red. For a moment, Zhao Xuanming's face was calm, but everyone knew that this young man was like a volcano that was about to erupt. Qin Feng, don't be too proud. I will wait for you at the Hidden Dragon Point competition. You better pray that you don't meet me. Otherwise, Zhao Xianming let out a cold and sinister laugh. Qin Feng's figure flashed, and the next moment he appeared on the martial god competition field. In a few steps, Qin Feng came in front of Li Zhuang. Li Zhuang held a long blade, kneeling on one knee on the ground, his face pale. A tragic victory. Thank you, big brother Qin. Li Zhuang's teeth were trembling, and the fire of life in his eyes was on the verge of collapse. Qin Feng knew that after Li Zhuang used this blade, the consumption of life force was too long, and at least 99 years of his 100 years of life had been consumed. Don't talk. Don't worry, you won't die yet. Seeing Li Zhuang's appearance of wanting to say his last words, Qin Feng shook his head and took out a crystal-clear jade cup. 7 Stars Dragon Spring Water. A rich life essence surged in the jade cup, and the bright spirit light formed a roaring dragon. This is In the distance, some martial arts experts who were about to leave the field sniffed, suddenly turned their heads, and their eyes fell on the jade cup. This is spirit spring water? And it's a kind of spirit spring water that contains rich life force. Around, many martial arts experts' eyes were shining, their eyes blazing. If they didn't know that this was All-Stars College, they probably couldn't resist going up to snatch it. This Qin Feng is really mysterious. He even carries this level of spirit spring water with him. Lu Qingshue's beautiful eyes fell on Qin Feng, and her eyes flashed slightly. Then she turned and left. After drinking a cup of 7 Stars Dragon Spring water, Li Zhuang's pale face gradually recovered, and the wounds on his body were healing faster. Looking at the black-robed youth, Li Zhuang's lips trembled, and suddenly the corners of his eyes were a little wet, and a moment later he hurriedly wiped it with his sleeve. A man doesn't cry easily. It's only because he hasn't been hurt. Qin Feng helped the linen-clothed youth up. Get up. That woman is not suitable for you. Love and hate are all sins. The world spinning is the law. We are heartless. The second and third updates are in the afternoon. Chapter 237. Thank you, Big Brother Qin. Li Zhuang stood up, still looking a little weak. The supreme demon inverse saber was too evil. With just one slash, Li Zhuang was almost turned into a skeleton. However, Li Zhuang's body underwent a strange change before he died from the slash. Saber intent. Supreme demon inverse saber intent. Li Zhuang actually comprehended a trace of supreme demon inverse saber intent. Looks like this is a blessing in disguise. Life and death are both terrifying and fortuitous. Once I completely digest this saber intent, there will be no bottleneck in the innate realm. As Qin Feng pondered in his heart, a smile appeared on his face. Li Zhuang. At this moment, a green figure flashed by. The girls hurried forward to help Li Zhuang up. The young girl sized up Li Zhuang from head to toe, her eyes filled with worry and concern. Hua Qiong. Li Zhuang was a little shy, his face flushed red. This silly boy is quite popular with women. Qin Feng chuckled and looked up. Li Zhuang, although I passed on the supreme demon inverse saber to you, this saber technique is extremely evil. If you haven't reached the Meridian's realm, it's best not to use it. Yes, Big Brother Qin. Li Zhuang looked up, his eyes filled with gratitude. Only those who truly understood the saber technique of the supreme demon inverse saber would know about this saber technique. Qin Feng actually passed on such a precious cultivation technique to him so easily. Li Zhuang's heart was indescribably moved. In addition, most of your lifespan was consumed by this saber. Although I used the 7 Stars Dragon Spring water to replenish some of it, it can only extend your lifespan for 8 years. Within these 8 years, you have to find a way to extend your lifespan by yourself. Fortunately, All Stars College has a lot of spiritual herbs. As long as you can obtain points and merit points, you can exchange for them yourself. Qin Feng's voice was a little heavy. Although the supreme demon inverse saber was powerful, the side effects were too great. Hua Qiong's face turned pale instantly. Li Zhuang was very calm. Big Brother Qin, don't worry. I'll think of a way. After going through the baptism of life and death, Li Zhuang had matured a lot. His expression revealed his determination. Suddenly, a figure pounced on Li Zhuang like a madman. A bone-piercing cold light. Li Zhuang, I want you to pay with your life for Big Brother AO. With a slight movement, Qin Feng appeared in front of Li Zhuang in the next moment. He grabbed the neck of a pink-clothed girl with one hand, and the girl tried her best to brandish the dagger in her hand. He struggled with all his might. You're only at the 6th heavenly layer of the martial path, and you want to assassinate me? Qin Feng's eyes flashed with a cold light. His 5 fingers clutched the young girl's beautiful neck. The young girl's eyes were filled with bone-deep hatred as she stared at Li Zhuang. She wanted nothing more than to skin him alive, devour his flesh, and drink his blood. Let me go, I want to kill that bastard Li Zhuang. The girl's hair was disheveled and her face was red. Qin Feng's 5 fingers were like an iron fist. No matter how she struggled, she couldn't break free. "You Li Zhuang muttered as he stared blankly at the young girl. "Why? Why do you want to kill me?" Yuku'er's beautiful eyes were filled with bone-deep hatred as she cried out angrily. "Why? Because you shouldn't be alive in the first place. You should die. Li Zhuang, why don't you die? Why do you want to kill Ao Shin? Do you know that you've ruined everything for me? My wealth, my dream of becoming a prince's wife, everything is gone. Li Zhuang, tell me, why don't you die? Why is a bastard like you still alive?" Li Zhuang retreated a few steps as if he was struck by lightning. His face was filled with despair. Yuku'er's words were like knives stabbing his heart a few more times. Let me go, let me go." Yuku'er screamed at Qin Feng. "Ha!" A slap landed on Yuku'er's face. Yuku'er's fair and delicate face quickly turned red and swollen. A clear palm print appeared on her cheek. "You dare to hit me?" Yuku'er looked at Qin Feng in disbelief. "Of course I hit you." Qin Feng sneered. "I'm not Li Zhuang." In Li Zhuang's eyes, you are his entire world. You are his everything. Even if you stab him with a knife, he won't dodge. But in my eyes, you are nothing. Your face, your body, they're not enough for you to be so arrogant in front of me. Qin Feng tightened his grip. Yuku'er couldn't breathe properly, and her throat was about to burst. "Do you see that? You're not some princess. Not everyone will revolve around you like Li Zhuang." Qin Feng looked coldly at this self-righteous and selfish woman. Qin Feng felt that Li Zhuang wasn't worth it. Such a selfish woman was not worthy of love. She only had herself in her eyes and no one else. It was normal for others to treat her well. It was as if they were born to serve her. If there was even the slightest mistake, it would be a huge mistake. In Qin Feng's eyes, such a woman needed to be taught a lesson. Only when she was taught a lesson, only when the pain seeped into her bones, would she wake up. "Qin Feng, you bastard. What right do you have to say that to me? What right do you have?" Yuku'er screamed. "Let me tell you what right do I have." Qin Feng's eyes flashed coldly. Strands of mixed element star qi pierced into Yuku'er's body like sharp swords. Qin Feng wanted to teach this woman a lesson. His mixed element star qi turned into a strand of sword qi. The violent sword qi rushed into Yuku'er's body. This violent impact was like a red-hot iron rushing into her tender meridians. This kind of pain was more intense than being sliced into pieces. "Ah!" Yuku'er screamed. In that instant, the intense pain made Yuku'er want to tear her body apart and commit suicide. Yuku'er's eyes revealed a trace of fear. This was the first time Yuku'er had met such a man. In this man's eyes, she saw coldness and ruthlessness. Her beautiful face lost its effect for the first time. Yuku'er's eyes flashed with a trace of hatred. The dagger in her hand slashed towards Qin Feng. Still not obedient, baring your fangs and brandishing your claws, "I'll break your claws." Qin Feng sneered. His hand grabbed Yuku'er's wrist like lightning. With a forceful squeeze, Yuku'er's wrist was crushed. The intense pain made Yuku'er scream. Her pitiful scream woke Li Zhuang up. Li Zhuang raised his head and saw Yuku'er's twisted face. His eyes revealed a trace of extreme pain. After a while, he looked at Qin Feng and said softly, "Brother Qin, let her go." Qin Feng thought for a while. After a while, he used his strength and flung Yuku'er's body away. With a bang, Yuku'er's body rolled to the ground. Li Zhuang wanted to say something, but stopped. After a while, he closed his eyes. A trace of pain flashed in his eyes. He turned and left without looking back. Hua Qiong's face tightened, and she hurriedly followed. Looking at their backs, Qin Feng's eyes flickered. Since ancient times, love was the most hurtful. If Li Zhuang could break through the barrier of love, there was no doubt that he would be able to soar to the sky with the grand demon inverse blade intent. He might even be able to truly master this terrifying blade technique. If he couldn't comprehend it, he would definitely be trapped by the grand demon inverse blade intent and degenerate into a demon. Qin Feng couldn't help Li Zhuang with this matter. With a slight sigh, Qin Feng followed and left All Stars College. The Mystic Association branch in the capital of stars was not far from All Stars College. A few hundred steps away, Qin Feng appeared on this bustling street. There was an endless stream of people and carriages around him. The shops on both sides of the street were neat and imposing. The street was filled with a bustling atmosphere. The first thing that caught his eye was the simple and majestic blacksmith guild. On the other side was the alchemist guild. After dozens of steps, Qin Feng saw the mystic association under construction at the corner of the intersection. Many craftsmen were walking in and out, carrying wood and stone materials. "Young master." Suddenly, a familiar surprised voice sounded. Qin Feng turned around. His red clothes fluttered, and a fragrant wind blew over. Qin Feng took the opportunity to hug the young lady's slim figure. "Originally, there were 2 updates in the afternoon, but I slept for a few hours after taking a nap. So the 3rd update will be at night. Please recommend it. Please add it." Chapter 238. Capital of Stars, in the temporary courtyard of the Mystic Association. The morning fog had yet to dissipate, and faint sunlight shone through the dense branches and leaves in the courtyard, speckling the center of the courtyard. Bang, bang, bang. The wind from her fists whistled, causing the air to vibrate. A young girl's delicate shout came from the courtyard. The wind from her fists was like the breathing of a savage beast, heavy and powerful. Occasionally, it would explode with an explosive sound. Her movements were vigorous, like a crane standing on a pine tree, graceful and agile. Especially her forelimbs and cervical vertebrae. When they opened and closed, they were like a bow full of power. Her breathing was like a drawn bow, and her punches were like arrows. Her fists and feet were light and swift, displaying her solid foundation. Not bad, not bad. Red Lotus, you've reached the perfection stage of the first heaven of martial arts, tendon refining, in just over 10 days. Even though this young master's medicinal soup played a part, your own comprehension and hard work accounted for most of the reason. Worthy of encouragement, a deep and magnetic voice sounded in the courtyard. It's all thanks to young master's nurturing. A red figure flashed, and the young girl appeared behind the black-robed youth with lowered brows. She massaged the black-robed youth's shoulders as joy flashed across her beautiful eyes. The young girl was becoming more and more alluring. She was dressed in red and had a hot and tall figure. Her eyes and brows had already matured, revealing a trace of peerless beauty. If not for the dark red birthmark on her face, the Mystic Association would have long been overcrowded. Even so, some of the manservants passing by the courtyard still couldn't help but look at the young girl with burning gazes. This little girl is quite good at flattery. Qin Feng smiled lazily as he enjoyed Red Lotus's massage with a leisurely expression. It was already the 10th day of his reunion with Red Lotus. Qin Feng had been staying in the temporary residence of the Mystic Association. Apart from cultivating, he had been enlightening his little maidservant on the martial path. Qin Feng narrowed his eyes and leaned against the rocking chair as he thought to himself. As expected of the blood fiend lady, her aptitude is extraordinary. She actually went from an ordinary person to the first firmament of martial Tao in 10 days. If news of this cultivation speed were to spread, those fellows who think they're geniuses would probably bang their heads against a wall. Qin Feng clearly knew that he had spent a lot of effort to break through to the first firmament of martial Tao back then. In fact, he even used some of the precious medicinal recipes that he kept at the bottom of his chest. Red Lotus, on the other hand, had only relied on a set of ordinary white crane refining fists to break through the first heaven of the martial Tao. This speed was simply shocking. Although this has something to do with the decoctions I made, Red Lotus aptitude is indeed terrifying. The Blood Fiend woman is truly incredible. Although his heart was shaken, Qin Feng's expression remained unchanged. He spoke frankly and frankly. The first 3 stages of the martial path are the best time to train your muscles and bones. Now, Red Lotus, you have completed the first sky of the martial path. Next, you can start to enter the second sky of the martial path. I have an extremely high-quality bone forging secret technique called the Spirit Snake Jade Bone Fist. This is a set of fist techniques that I simplified from a set of high-level spirit martial realm fist technique, the Spirit Snake Demon Fist. If you can do Shang, your entire body's bones will be like dragons and snakes. The morning sun shone on the courtyard. Master and servant, one taught diligently, and the other learned diligently. There was a faint warmth in the atmosphere. At this moment, the sound of hurried footsteps came from outside the door. Ta-ta-ta. Not long after, the figure of a black-faced man hurriedly appeared in the courtyard. Chinsho, what's the matter? With one hand correcting Red Lotus's wrong posture and explaining the mysteries of the spirit snake Jadebone Fist, Qinfeng turned his head to look at the black-faced man. With sweat dripping from his forehead, Chinsho lowered his head and said hurriedly, "Young master, I have some news about the matter you asked me to inquire about. There are many powerful second-year warriors in the Five Elements team. This time, other than Wolf King Zhao Xianming, there are many other famous warriors participating in this year's Hidden Dragon Point competition. The more famous ones are Tiger King Li Heihu, Panther King Wang Dong, and Ghost King Wu Ying. These people are all top-class warriors in the Five Elements team. Their fame is no less than Zhao Xuanming's. Also, through the 100B secret technique, I found out that there are a few other groups of people who are trying to harm young master." Qinsho's face was filled with a trace of anger. Qinfeng waved his hand. "This is all within my expectations. The head of the Green Dragon team is not that easy to sit on. It's normal for them to have some ideas. However, your young master is not someone to be trifled with. When the time comes, it's still unknown who will take care of who. All-Stars College is full of undercurrents and treacherous clouds. The Hidden Dragon Point competition has yet to begin, but all kinds of murderous intentions have already been hidden. In addition, the rewards for this year's Hidden Dragon Point competition have also been announced. Apart from the Black Iron Armor, the first place will be rewarded with 10,000 points and 200 merit points. These rewards are not bad." Qinfeng's eyes lit up. Qinfeng did not care about the 10,000 points. What moved Qinfeng was the 200 merit points. Qinfeng was currently a level 5 inner disciple. If he could earn 100 merit points, he could apply to the Medicine King Hall and directly be promoted to a level 6 deacon disciple. If he could be promoted to a level 7 deacon, Qinfeng's status would automatically be promoted to a mountain lord. Qinfeng's current status was the Cave Master of the Scarlet Sky, Peaks Jade Water Cave. As a Cave Master, Qinfeng was only temporarily managing the Scarlet Sky, Peaks Jade Water Cave. If he could be promoted to a mountain lord, his authority as a Cave Master would be further promoted, and he would have more authority over the Scarlet Sky Peak. For example, he could set up his own herb garden or change the feng shui of the Scarlet Sky Peak. The benefits of this were immeasurable. This meant that Qinfeng was one step closer to completely taking over the Scarlet Sky Peak. Above the Mountain Lord, there was still the Mansion Master. The Mansion Master could set up his own mansion and completely take over the Scarlet Sky, Peaks, Jade Water Cave. He didn't even need to contribute any of the spiritual herbs in the spiritual mountain blessed land to the sect. Any spiritual herbs in the spiritual mountain would belong to the Mansion Master. The Mansion Master could even set up his own mansion and take over some of the smaller spiritual mountain-blessed lands in the vicinity, becoming a small feudal lord. At this point, he was already close to completely taking control of this spiritual mountain-blessed land. If he could take another step forward, he would be able to truly take over the Scarlet Sky, Peaks, Jadewater Cave, and turn it into a true foundation. This was a hidden opportunity that only belonged to the first seats, which was hidden in the various peaks and mountains. One must know that in the Xingqian school, some inner disciples might not even be able to own their own spiritual mountain-blessed land. Various thoughts flashed through Qin Feng's mind as Qin Shou narrated the various details of the Hidden Dragon Points competition. The rewards for the second and third place are 5,000 points and 100 contribution points. The rewards for the 4th to 6th place are 3,000 points and 50 contribution points. The rewards for the 7th to 10th place are 1,000 points and 20 contribution points. After the 10th place, Those within the 30th place will only be awarded 300 points. Qin Feng nodded inwardly. The rewards for the All-Stars College's Hidden Dragon Point competition were extraordinarily generous. No wonder it attracted so many geniuses, especially the reward for the first place. Not to mention the nearly exaggerated 10,000 points and 200 contribution points. The black iron battle armor was also very covetous. If one could obtain the black iron battle armor, the cultivation speed of the art of mixed origin stars would increase by at least 3 to 4 times. It seems that all the heads of the various houses have arrived this time. Young Lord's guess is correct. All the heads of the various houses have arrived upon hearing the news. The 2 chiefs and countless experts of the 4 houses are all sharpening their swords. The All-Stars College's Hidden Dragon Points competition will officially begin 3 days later. Seeking recommendation votes. Seeking collection. Chapter 239. Captain, 10 days ago, Qin Feng entered the temporary courtyard of the Mystic Association. He has been cultivating in the Mystic Association's territory for the past few days. In a large house on a bustling street several kilometers away from All-Stars College, a short and clever young man was reporting to Zhao Xianming. Zhao Xianming muttered to herself, "Mystic Association? No wonder this person is so fearless. He actually has the Mystic Association as his backer." A hint of coldness flashed across her eyes. In addition, according to the information we purchased at Wind Trust Hall 10 days ago, Qin Feng purchased the second layer of the art of the Chaos Star from the Spell Importation Hall. We suspect that he has already condensed his life star imprint 10 days ago. Zhao Xianming had her hands behind her back, and her eyes were cold. Continue. According to the information and our speculation, this child is most likely condensing a purple star. Among the billions of stars in the galaxy, the first grade was gold, the second grade was purple, the third grade was silver, and the last grade was white. A purple star was a high-grade star. 10 days ago, among the stars that appeared on the star stele, 2 of the golden stars are the Ice Soul Star. The star masters of planet Shizuku are basically Lu Qingxue and Ji Huang Air. Among the 3 purple stars, 1 is the Central Earth Emperor Star, 1 is the Soul Devourer Star, and the last is the Sea Star. According to the information we received, Qin Feng has a water attribute physique. Therefore, among the 3 purple stars, the Central Earth Emperor Star can be eliminated first. As for the Soul Devouring Star, it is one of the Heaven and Earth Strange Stars. Although this star is only a purple star, in fact, some of its abilities are not inferior to the best golden star. However, according to our speculation, the possibility of Qin Feng resonating with this star is very small. Therefore, his natal star is very likely to be Neptune. These days, I asked you to deduce Qin Feng. Are you all concerned about these things? Zhao Xianming frowned. What I want is detailed information about his combat strength, as well as how to restrain him and even kill him. The short youth wiped the sweat off his forehead and said hurriedly, "Captain, please calm down. This is exactly what I was going to say. According to our evaluation, Qin Feng's cultivation should be at the late stage of the 12th heaven of martial arts. However, according to our investigation of Qin Feng seems to be practicing an extremely superior foundation establishment cultivation method. His Zhen Qi is very vigorous. The 12th heavenly layer of the martial path is completely comparable to some of the top foundation establishment stage powerhouses of the pulse condensation period who have condensed a top-grade heaven and earth seed. In addition, what we need to pay attention to is this kid's cultivation in the Sword Dao. According to my preliminary analysis, he may have comprehended the tidal sword intent of the water sword intent. So, Captain, we suggest that you bring along several powerhouses that have comprehended the concept of Earth. In the 5 elements, Earth restrains water. Besides that, according to the information provided by the new students of the Azure Dragon Institute, Qin Feng seemed to have entered the Spirit Ruin Sect's Spirit Refinement Hall and obtained a water attribute divine ability. The power of this divine ability is not easy to evaluate. We conservatively estimate that it is a second-order water attribute divine ability. We suggest that Captain prepare some treasures to restrain this divine ability. Taking all factors into consideration, we believe that if Captain encounters this person, there is a 60% chance that you will directly kill him. There is a 20% chance that he will be seriously injured and escape. There is a 10% chance that you will perish together with him. The last 10% is Zhao Xianming turned her gaze and saw the hesitation of her subordinate. She smiled coldly. There is a 10% chance that I will be seriously injured and killed by this kid, due to my carelessness. The short young man was sweating profusely. Captain, there is no need to be afraid. Zhao Xianming, do things according to the situation and not the person. You have done well in this matter. Zhao Xianming was expressionless. All right, I just want to know how to ensure that we can kill this person without any accidents. Captain, don't worry. At this time, we have a complete plan. Although Qin Feng has many means, he also has many shortcomings. We have made a lot of preparations to deal with these shortcomings. As long as Captain can seize the opportunity and follow our plan, we will definitely be able to completely kill this kid. In addition, Captain, we have also received information that the other generals of the Five Elements battle team are also on the move this time. Tiger King, Panther King, Ghost King, and Wood King. If Captain can unite these experts, not to mention killing Qin Feng, even the champion of the Hidden Dragon scoreboard may not be impossible. That's right. The chiefs of the 4 academies may be very strong, but they can't withstand the joint attack of many experts of the Five Elements battle team. Now contact these generals and tell them that I, Zhao Xianming, am holding a banquet at the Sky Wolf Pavilion. Many female experts had gathered in the Sky Sea Pavilion. Their palaces were filled with beautiful buildings. The leader was a female expert with an unusually strong aura. She was a stunning girl in a light yellow palace dress. She was the previous chief of the Vermilion Bird Academy, Lin Fei. The aura on her body was unusually strong. A terrifying yellow star appeared behind her, and there was a terrifying aura of an ancient ruler. This was a vision. It was rumored that only the most powerful experts of the Meridian's condensing realm could condense their own vision. Below her was Lu Qingxue, and on the other side was Ji Huang. The 2 women stood as equals. On the other side were some female experts of the previous tournament. These female experts all had a strong aura and were graceful. This place was like a goddess palace above the 9 heavens. The female experts wore jingling ornaments, as if it was a kingdom of women. On both sides are Du Pingxia, Yu Yao, and other women. A majestic voice resounded in the Sky Sea Pavilion. Sisters, this time our goal is to be the champion of the Hidden Dragon scoreboard. We, the Sky Sea Pavilion, are determined to win. In the base of the Taichu battle team, the Taichu battle palace was turbulent. The leader was a young man in a golden robe with a gentle face. Behind him, a golden star was blooming with a strange phenomenon. Gold Star descends. This was the previous chief of the Tortoise Academy, Jean Rui. Below him was another extremely strong expert of the Meridian's condensing realm. He was slender and his face was gloomy. His aura was fluctuating. Although he was not as strong as Jean Rui, he was far stronger than most of the people present. This was another expert of the Taichu battle team, Warlord Ouyangyu. Below him, there were other geniuses of the previous tournaments with strong auras. At the end of the row were the new students of the Taichu battle team, Zhao Xikong, Tuobi Yi, and Lu Kanyang. These outstanding new students were ranked last in the hall. Even geniuses such as Li Qiubai and Wang Xiaosheng could only stand. Jean Rui stood up. His aura was like a deep abyss and his eyes were like a demon. Everyone this time, the Taichu battle team will win the first place of the Hidden Dragon scoreboard. There is only one result for anyone who dares to go against us. Kill, kill, kill. A murderous aura erupted from the Taichu battle palace, shocking the clouds. In the base of the Iyue battle team, in the base of the Baiyang battle team, In the base of the Blue Water Battle Team, the Star Academy was filled with the atmosphere of a great battle, the calm before the storm. Countless geniuses and experts heard the news and moved. The undercurrent was turbulent, and the clouds were treacherous. The storm was coming, and the wind was blowing. This is the first update. The second update is in the afternoon, and the third update is in the evening. Chapter 240. 3 days later, early in the morning, at the entrance of the Mystic Association's temporary courtyard, Zhuisong, Master Hall, Hong Lian, Qin Shou, and the others all looked at the black-robed youth at the entrance. Little friend Qin Feng, be careful in everything. I wish you a great victory and be able to take the crown of the Hidden Dragon Point competition in one go. Young Master, you must be careful. Young Master, we wish young Master the best of luck in winning the competition and surpassing the younger generation of All-Stars College. Qin Feng turned around and swept his gaze across everyone. Finally, his gaze landed on the red-clothed girl. He paused for a moment before nodding. Everyone, you can go back. An hour later, Qin Feng arrived at the All-Stars College's Martial God competition field and gathered with the participating geniuses. Under the lead of several elders, they left the college and rushed toward the 3 enclosures outside the All-Stars College. This was a stone mountain. The stone mountain had been flattened by a peerless expert. The stone mountain on the ground was hard and smooth, with a trace of sword-like patterns. Under the lead of the All-Stars College's elders, the group of students rushed for hundreds of miles and arrived at this stone mountain. Looking up, they were surrounded by green mountains. The mountain peaks stood tall like loyal guards. In front of them was a vast and ancient desolate forest. The ancient trees were lush, and the sky was boundless. Their field of vision was wide, and only the blue sky could be seen. In the distance, the roars of ancient beasts could be heard from the ancient forest at the foot of the stone mountain. Boom! A flame landed beside them, and a figure seemed to walk out of the flame. His majestic body seemed to be burning with blazing flames. Many geniuses' expressions changed as they retreated. Brother Qin Feng, Brother Chunyang. The newcomer was Lu Chunyang. He saw Qin Feng from afar and took the initiative to greet him. All-Stars College is so mysterious. Why did you come to this desolate place? The spirit chi here is abundant, but it looks very ordinary. This is the starting point of our journey to the Wasteland Domain. A figure flashed and appeared beside Qin Feng. It was another familiar face. Seeing this person, Qin Feng narrowed his eyes slightly. Xiao Yuchan. Xiao Yuchan's cultivation had already broken through the peak of the 12th firmament of the martial path. He was just one step away from advancing to the 13th firmament of the martial path. Qin Feng, don't get me wrong. I'm here to seek your cooperation. Qin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He tilted his head and looked at the handsome young man in purple. Forget about the cooperation. You and I are not on the same side. It's fine as long as we don't fight when the time comes. Xiao Yuchan smiled slightly and was not angry. Qin Feng's rejection was within his expectations. Qin Feng, since that's the case, you're on your own now. According to what I know, there are many people who are interested in you this time. Not only the new students, but there are also many people from the previous years who are interested in you. The Azure Dragon's chief. Xiao Yuchan's words had a hidden meaning. After he finished speaking, he turned and walked toward another group of people. At that moment, the entire plaza was divided into over a dozen distinct groups of people. Qin Feng had a pensive expression. Xiao Yuchan looked like he was demonstrating his power, but it was actually a warning. Qin Feng found it a little strange. When Xiao Yuchan was in the trial, the two of them had fought several times and nearly fought to the death. Why would Xiao Yuchan warn him? The weasel pays his respects to the chicken. Lu Chunyang looked at Xiao Yuchan with a cold face. Qin Feng, ignore this guy. This guy is purely trying to disturb the morale of the army and your mind. Their spirits were high, and their eyes were filled with shock. Figures with tyrannical auras gradually filled the stone mountain. Some were agitated, some were excited, and some were apprehensive. Every young face was filled with vigor. The crowd gradually quietened down. Qin Feng carried the North Underworld Divine Water Sword on his back. His black robe didn't stand out among the crowd. All Stars College's Hidden Dragon Points competition had been held for thousands of years. It had its own process. Before the competition, an elder would explain the tradition of All Stars College. After the elder finished his explanation, there was suddenly a heavenly sound of wind chimes in the sky. There was a wave of fragrance. Then, thousands of white lotuses suddenly descended from the sky. The white lotuses were like pure white snowflakes. In the crowd, one of the white lotuses landed on Qin Feng's palm. It gradually turned into a white lotus imprint, as though it had grown together with the skin on his palm. There was a commotion in the crowd. These white lotuses were too strange. In the sky above the stone mountain, there was suddenly a ball of distorted white light descending. A huge pressure descended. A dignified voice came from the ball of light. There was a trace of dignity. Students, this year's Hidden Dragon Point competition will be held at the Skyscraper Ridge in the Wild region. The imprint on your hand is called the White Lotus imprint. This imprint will be your life-saving measure. Once this imprint is broken, you will be brought back to the stone mountain by this sovereign. Of course, this also means that you will be completely eliminated. You will be disqualified from the competition. At this moment, everyone understood the meaning of the White Lotus imprint on their hand. The commotion calmed down. The expert in the ball of white light continued to speak. This year's Hidden Dragon Points competition will last for 2 months. During this time, the more savage beasts you kill, the more vigorous the White Lotus imprint on your hand will be. Furthermore, as you kill more enemies, the color of this White Lotus will change. Following that, you will receive some additional benefits. For example, feed back your cultivation base. This White Lotus imprint will be able to absorb the essence blood of the savage beasts you kill and turn it into the purest elemental force for you. This expert didn't finish his words, but everyone understood what he meant. Qin Feng could hear the sounds of many young experts' throats rolling. This temptation was too great. They could level up by killing savage beasts. Qin Feng's eyes flickered. He somewhat understood why there were so many experts participating in the Hidden Dragon Point competition this time. There were even some new students who were at the 7th and 8th level of the martial path. This wasn't just a competition. It was a rare opportunity. Even if they couldn't enter the top 10 of the competition, they could save 2 to 3 years of cultivation time. Lowering his head, Qin Feng's eyes fell on the White Lotus imprint on his palm. This was a pure white lotus. At this moment, the lotus was just a bud. The bud was tightly closed and hadn't bloomed yet. Your mission is to let the petals of this white lotus bloom as much as possible. The more petals you bloom, the higher your ranking will be. Finally, we will pick the student who blooms the most petals to be the champion of this year's competition. Glancing at all the young martial artists participating in the competition, the ball of white light said with a smile. Next, everyone will enter the star field teleportation gate in batches in front of you. There will be 100 people in each batch. You will be teleported every 200 breaths. The teleportation must be completed within 2 hours. Finally, I wish you good luck. As the voice faded, the white light suddenly disappeared in midair. An elder walked up and shouted, "All right, now everyone will be teleported here in batches. Every batch is 100 people. Be quick, don't dawdle. There's one more update tonight. Please recommend it. Please bookmark it." Chapter 241. Just as the Hidden Dragon Championship was about to begin. In the depths of the Desolation Zone, on a mountain several hundred miles away from the Skyscraper Ridge, several figures were looking towards the direction of the Skyscraper Ridge. "Elder, should we make a move now?" The Yin Emperor's voice was hoarse and gloomy. The light in his eyes was eager to fight. His triangular eyes were filled with coldness and cruelty. On the cliff, a stalwart figure was standing. "No hurry. It's just the beginning. We can't be too hasty. Otherwise, we will alert the Xingqian school. Tell the boys to get ready. 7 days later is the best time." Yes. Ancient trees towered into the sky. The trees were lush and green. Faint sunlight shone on the ancient and silent forest. The ground was covered in a thick layer of yellow leaves. Poisonous animals were hibernating. Unknown insects were making strange sounds. Suddenly, the calm water rippled in the air. Bang! A black figure suddenly fell from the sky. With a bang, the black figure knelt on the ground with a pale face. A strong wind blew, and the leaves were flying. Qin Feng raised his head and looked at this strange forest. The surroundings were quiet. A wild aura came to him, and he was surrounded by strange dangers. Looking at the flower bud in his palm, Qin Feng slightly clenched his fist. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Suddenly, the space above Qin Feng's head twisted. A figure fell out of the void and landed on the ground. He seemed to be dizzy and shook his head. Surprised, Qin Feng turned around and looked at this figure. His eyes flickered. This person looked familiar. He seemed to have seen him before. This person seems to be one of Zhao Xuanming's men. When they were in the martial god training field, this person had been following Zhao Xianming. He should be one of Zhao Xuanming's trusted men. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Thinking like this in his heart, Qin Feng smiled. "It's you, Qin Feng." A loud shout came from the figure in front of him. It was a young man dressed like a warrior. He had a long face and looked smart and cunning. Right now, he was staring at the black-robed young man in front of him with his eyes wide open. Even his body was shaking. "Ha ha!" Suddenly, a deep and powerful laughter came from the young man's mouth. In the end, it turned into a wild laugh. He pointed at Qin Feng and said excitedly, "I've worn out iron shoes in vain. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Looks like Du Huan is destined to make a great contribution today. Qin Feng, your luck is really bad. You met me, Du Huan, on the first day, the first secret realm of the Meridian's condensation period. Not only did he not beg for mercy when he met me, he even dared to be so arrogant." Qin Feng looked at Du Huan strangely. He shook his head repeatedly. "He is indeed crazy." Du Huan was stunned by Qin Feng's expression. The next moment, he was furious. His face turned red and blue in an instant. He pointed at Qin Feng with a trembling finger and breathed heavily. Huff, huff. As the #1 general under Wolf King Zhao Xianming, Du Huan had his own pride. Among the previous geniuses, although Du Huan's reputation was not as great as Wolf King Zhao Xianming, Tiger King Li Heihu, Ghost King Wu Ying, Du Huan was not weaker than anyone. In terms of strength, in the 5 Elements battle team, he was only slightly inferior to Wolf King, Tiger King, and Panther King. Even in the Wolf King's team, he had a high position and was one of the team leaders second only to Wolf King. He was usually respected by his master. Du Huan had never been looked down upon like this. Taking a deep breath, Du Huan's eyes flashed with coldness. The aura around him was somewhat cold. He pulled out a long sword in his hand. The long sword in Du Huan's hand was a little strange. It was 4 feet long, thin like a cicada's wing, and narrow like a little finger. The sword body was crystal clear. With a slight flick, it let out a sharp whistle. The sword body stretched and contracted like a poisonous snake spitting out its tongue. It made one's hair stand on end. This sword had a strange cold air and also contained cold poison. Once hit, one's blood would gradually coagulate and die. Du Huan's gaze landed on Qin Feng like a poisonous snake. "Qin Feng, I heard that your sword is very fast. Unfortunately, my ice snake sword is even faster. You should be honored to die under my Du Huan's sword." Qin Feng raised his eyelids and said with a smile, "Then I'd like to try your sword." Taking a deep breath, Du Huan's gaze coldly looked at Qin Feng. "Then give me your life." Du Huan's figure instantly moved. He stabbed out with his sword. Du Huan's sword was very fast. It was so fast that one's sixth sense could not even capture the shadow of it. This was a sword technique that could only be mastered after assassinating countless experts. He could always stab out an impossible sword at an impossible angle, at an impossible time, and kill with one strike. Just based on this sword, Du Huan was worthy of the title of Wolf King Zhao Xuanming's #1 warrior. After his sword, Du Huan appeared behind Qin Feng. When Qin Feng's sixth sense realized that Du Huan appeared behind him, it was already too late to react. Qin Feng's expression was calm. It was already too late to draw out his sword. But Qin Feng had already cultivated to the point where he did not need to draw his sword. Qin Feng's sixth sense condensed to the extreme. His spiritual imprint merged into the North Underworld godly water sword in a flash. Clang clang. The North Underworld godly water sword let out a buzzing sword sound. With a flash of sword light, it blocked his back. Flying sword. With a change of thought, a cold light flew out from the sword sheath. Like a swimming snake, it attacked Du Huan. Flying sword, the fourth realm of swordsmanship. Du Huan was startled and then sneered. Qin Feng, Lord Wolf King's guess was right. You have broken through the fourth realm. But the flying sword realm cannot make up for the gap between you and me. I'm a true superior martial foundation building cultivator. Moreover, I have comprehended the perfect fast sword intent. Although you have entered the flying sword realm, I can see that your sword intent is not perfect. This is your shortcoming. A cold sword light tore through the air and knocked away the North Underworld godly water sword. Du Huan wielded his sword and attacked again. After this sword, it will be your death. A cold, murderous aura loomed, locking onto Qin Feng's body. Du Huan's figure quickly rushed over. His speed was extremely fast. Qin Feng's sixth sense could not lock onto him. This was very disadvantageous for Qin Feng, because Qin Feng did not know if Du Huan's next sword would be at his chest or his back. Du Huan is right. Although I have grasped the flying sword realm, my tidal sword intent is not perfect. The flying sword realm does not have the support of sword intent. It can only be regarded as a superficial form. It might be able to deal with some ordinary pulse condensation period experts, but against a true pulse condensation period expert like Du Huan, it pales in comparison. My cultivation time is still too short. Thinking in his heart, Qin Feng raised his head and looked directly at the invisible murderous aura. However, even if this is the case, it does not mean that I cannot kill you. The innate ability, ocean control, was instantly activated. 3 zhang away, Du Huan, who was silently sneaking toward Qin Feng, suddenly shook and froze from his extremely fast movement. What kind of ability is this? Du Huan's eyes revealed a trace of fear. A terrifying sword light was reflected in his eyes. Du Huan clenched his teeth and used his true power to suppress the cold air in his body. He waved the ice snake sword in front of him, with one hand holding the Northern Underworld godly water sword. An unparalleled sword light flashed. The Northern Underworld godly water sword directly cut the ice serpent sword in half. Pucci. The sword light did not weaken at all. The sword light cut through Du Huan's neck. Du Huan's head soared into the air in disbelief. Pung. He flew back several zhang and fell to the ground. Du Huan died with his eyes wide open. Please recommend, please collect. Chapter 242. Qin Feng's sword was not known for its speed. On the contrary, Qin Feng's sword speed was quite average because of his focus on breaking all techniques with one strike. This was Qin Feng's shortcoming. For an expert, this could be a fatal flaw. But with Qin Feng's innate ability, ocean control, this flaw became a fatal trap. Du Huan, the #1 general under the Wolf King, had died an unjust death. If he had made up his mind to escape, Qin Feng would not have been able to do anything to him. Man must kill himself, and then kill himself. As Qin Feng thought to himself, a cold smile appeared on his face. He stretched out a palm, and a pure, white lotus bud flew out. The white lotus bud landed on Du Huan's body, took root, and sprouted. Countless tiny roots pierced into Du Huan's body. Du Huan's skin was losing its luster, and his essence blood was drying up, turning into a piece of dead wood. Qin Feng's eyes fell on the white lotus that had retracted its roots. The white lotus flew back into his palm, vivid and lifelike, pure and holy. After absorbing the blood essence of a pulse condensation stage martial artist, the white lotus mark began to bloom. There was a burst of vitality brewing. The green lotus bud opened, and a pure, white lotus leaf stretched out. The tender leaf carried a kind of spiritual light. A gentle essence energy was released from the white lotus mark, and the pure and flawless essence energy fused into the primordial chaos star's essence energy. Qin Feng's aura fluctuated. The late stage of the 12th heavenly layer of the martial path rose. The secret technique of the innate origin singular qi was activated, and the realm was immediately suppressed. It's a little nourishing. Qin Feng raised his head, and his eyes flickered. The white lotus mark could indeed absorb the essence blood of experts and feed it back to the host. But this level of feedback was too little for Qin Feng. It's equivalent to half a month of cultivation, but little drops make a mickle. As long as I kill a few more experts, I might be able to break through to the 13th heavenly layer of the martial path. Thinking in his heart, Qin Feng's eyes fell on the mummified Du Huan. With a sweep of his body, a sword ray shot out, and Du Huan's figure turned into ashes. Qin Feng raised his head and took a look at the vast mountain forest, then flew off in a direction. Just as Du Huan was about to die, on top of the mountain, a stone tablet suddenly emitted a blood-red light. A white lotus suddenly appeared in front of the elders. A name appeared on the white lotus. Du Huan. The next moment, the white lotus suddenly turned into a terrifying blood-red color, as if it was dripping with blood. Du Huan has fallen. The 8 elders looked at each other. Behind the 8 elders, a female disciple took out the roster, found Du Huan's name, and crossed it off. Outrageous! The competition has just begun, and someone has already died. An elder's face was filled with displeasure. Another elegant and handsome elder, with a beautiful beard, shook his head. In the Hidden Dragon Points competition, you're responsible for your own life and death. You can't blame others for this. What's more, we've already given him the White Lotus imprint. As long as he crushes the White Lotus imprint and forfeits the competition, he'll be able to preserve his life. His life and death are actually in his own hands. Suddenly, a large patch of blood-colored lotus flowers appeared on the stone tablet. More than 10 blood-red lotuses floated in the air one after another, gorgeous and bloody. What's going on? Why did so many people fall at once? At the same time, on the leaving name stone, a stream of light rapidly floated up from the string of names, turning into a golden light and landing on the first place. The 8 elders' eyes landed on the name that was glowing with golden light. Yi Yuming. On a large swamp below Skyscraper Ridge, a figure was like a frightened bird, scuttling and causing terrifying sonic booms. He kept turning his head back, as if there was something terrifying behind him. Xiao Yuchan's figure was in a sorry state, and his handsome face that even women would be jealous of was filled with panic. In the distance, there were a few other auras that weren't weaker than Xiao Yuchan, who were fleeing frantically in all directions. Bang! Suddenly, there was a loud explosion from the distant horizon, shaking the heaven and earth. Xiao Yuchan stopped in his tracks and turned his head back in shock. There was a mournful scream from the distant horizon, accompanied by a terrifying laughter that sounded like an owl. You can't run away. A bunch of ants also have delusions of getting a share of the opportunity. Get out of the Hidden Dragon Points competition obediently. Otherwise, you will only have one outcome, death. Yi Yuming, you dare to kill your fellow disciples without permission. You will die a horrible death. A mournful scream resounded in the sky and stopped abruptly. TSK, TSK, if you don't withdraw, then die. An extremely cold sneer reverberated in the sky. Rumble. A terrifying black light swept past, and another aura was instantly annihilated. Dead or escaped? Xiao Yuchan's expression changed drastically. Suddenly, a black light streaked across the sky, and a black-robed youth with a ghost face appeared in the distant sky, with black flames burning in his eyes. Xiao Yuchan's body turned cold. He turned and ran. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Why did I encounter such a terrifying fellow? Xiao Yuchan cursed angrily and activated his essential qi without caring about the consumption. His figure flashed like a faint purple smoke, and in the blink of an eye, he traversed half a mile through the muddy, damp, and stinky black swamp. After half a mile, Xiao Yuchan's scalp went numb when he felt the dark aura behind him that covered the sky getting closer. No, he's too strong. I can't escape from his pursuit. Xiao Yuchan stopped abruptly and raised his hand to look at the white lotus mark on his hand. Xiao Yuchan's eyes were filled with unwillingness and struggle. After a moment, he stomped his feet and looked around. Finally, his gaze landed on a smelly, bubbling puddle not far away. The puddle was very ordinary in the entire swamp. It was not eye-catching. Xiao Yuchan clenched his teeth slightly and leaped into the filthy black water swamp. He operated a secret technique to restrain his vital qi. Half a quarter of an hour later, a sound of something breaking through the air was heard. A yellow-robed youth ran towards the swamp in a panic. The yellow-robed youth was extremely fast, but the black light behind him was even faster. A dim light flickered, and a sinister sword light pierced the yellow-robed youth's back. Puffed. Blood spurted out. The yellow-robed youth lowered his head with difficulty and looked at the sharp weapon that pierced through his chest. When he raised his head, his eyes revealed unwillingness and regret as he muttered, "I so regret it. TSK. I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Do you really think you can escape?" The black-robed youth's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. In his palm, a snow-white lotus flower appeared. It was a lotus flower that was above the 3rd grade. In the blink of an eye, it sucked the yellow-robed youth's blood essence dry. After absorbing the yellow-robed youth's blood essence, the 4th petal of the white lotus bloomed. No, my speed is too slow. After killing these rats, I have to meet up with the captain as soon as possible and gather the battle team's strength to clear the area, he thought to himself. Suddenly, the ghost fire in the black-robed youth's eyes flickered. TSK, there's still a rat hiding underground. The black-robed youth's eyes suddenly landed on the place where Xiao Yuchan was hiding. Not good, I'm exposed. In an instant, Xiao Yuchan's body turned cold. Rumble. The puddle exploded, and Xiao Yuchan transformed into a purple smoke that shot far away. Trying to run? It's too late. The black-robed youth held a sword that flickered with black flames in his hand and slashed. Bang! Xiao Yuchan's body exploded with a layer of bloodlight. In the next moment, his speed increased again, and he appeared 1,000 feet away. Interesting. The black-robed youth's face flashed with a sneer. His figure was like a black shooting star as he chased after Xiao Yuchan. 2nd update in the afternoon, 3rd update in the evening. Chapter 243. Skyscraper Ridge. Under a mountain ridge, a red light filled the sky. Rumble. With an earth-shattering bang, a young man with a muscular body flew out like a cannonball. His body swept across the area and broke several ancient trees in succession. Poochie. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, the muscular youth raised his head and stared at the indifferent youth walking over with a saber in the flames. Ancient Fire Dragon Incantation. 13 Blades of Fire Dragon. Luolai, don't go too far. Luwu, I'll give you 2 choices. The first choice is to crush the white lotus mark and leave. The second choice is for me to kill you with a single slash. Luolai's face was cold. The flames on his body condensed into a solid substance, pulsing like a proud ancient fire dragon. The pulse condensation period youth's heart was filled with a sense of powerlessness and anger. Luo Lai was too strong. Luwu looked at Luo Lai with resentment. After a moment of consideration, the youth clenched his teeth and crushed the white lotus mark in his hand. Instantly, he turned into a white lotus and disappeared. Glancing at the place where Lu Wu disappeared, Luo Lai sneered and disappeared into the forest with his saber. At the same time, hundreds of fights broke out all over the skyscraper ridge. The tragic atmosphere reverberated in the usually quiet forest. Many young elites died in the forest, and some left the hidden Dragon Point competition to save their lives. The forest was filled with slaughter. The law of the jungle was strengthened to the extreme. At this moment, in the forest at the foot of the mountain, there was a corpse at the foot of Qin Feng. This was an 18 or 19-year-old youth. His eyes were wide open and filled with unwillingness and resentment. This was a martial artist at the 13th heavenly layer. He tried to sneak attack Qin Feng from behind a tree, but was killed by Qin Feng with a single slash. This was the third martial artist who tried to sneak attack Qin Feng in the dark. A pure white lotus appeared in Qin Feng's hand. The lotus bloomed 1 grade. As I guessed, only by killing a pulse condensation period martial artist can the lotus bloom. The first grade should be to kill a pulse condensation period martial artist or a savage beast. To bloom 2 grades should be to kill 2 pulse condensation period martial artists or 2 savage beasts. Qin Feng gradually concluded the rules of the lotus bloom. According to this calculation, in order to bloom a 3rd grade flower, I would need to kill at least 4 meridians condensation stage powerhouses or 4 savage beasts. In order to bloom a 4th grade flower, I would need to kill 8 savage beasts. Killing martial artists below the 13th heavenly layer doesn't seem to have much effect. Qin Feng looked at the cultivator who was killed at his feet. After absorbing the blood essence of this sneak attacker, the white lotus imprint was still a 1st grade imprint. It was just that the color was slightly more lustrous. Moreover, this white lotus imprint doesn't give back power to the host every time. It should give back every time the flower blooms. Qin Feng, Qin Feng, Qin Feng, Qin Feng, Qin, and Luo Lai Luo Luo. In other words, if I want to obtain the white lotus mark's feedback, I need to kill at least 2 savage beasts or 2 pulse condensation period martial artists. Suppressing the thoughts in his mind, Qin Feng looked around. Then, Qin Feng stood up and flew towards the depths of Skyscraper Ridge. This mountain forest was filled with the remnants of powerful savage beasts. As long as he followed the scent, it wouldn't be difficult to find prey. Half a mile later, Qin Feng's figure suddenly froze. In the next moment, his complexion slightly changed. He looked up into the depths of the mountain forest, and then his figure was like a wisp of wind, hiding in a messy mountain rock. Around the mountain rock was a bear cave. A ferocious black bear was snoring in the cave. Qin Feng was expressionless. He took a step forward and directly crushed the black bear's neck bone with brute force. The black bear silently died. Half a quarter of an hour later, several thousand feet away, there was a loud bang. The air billowed, and the surrounding trees collapsed. A figure was thrown into the forest. At the same time, a delicate and elegant figure followed closely behind. It was accompanied by the sound of coughing blood. Sha-sha, the sound of footsteps approached from afar, carrying a trace of undisguised, icy, killing intent. Hiding behind the rock, Qin Feng looked through the cracks of the rock. His eyes were indifferent as he looked at the 2 people who suddenly attacked. Lying on the ground was a charming girl in colorful clothes. Yu Hong. Qin Feng's eyes narrowed. Qin Feng unexpectedly found that he had met an acquaintance this time. The one lying on the ground was Yu Yao's cousin, Yu Hong. At this time, Yu Hong was already at the peak of the 6th heavenly layer of the martial path, half a step into the 7th heavenly layer of the martial path. Yu Hong was injured. Her delicate face was pale and bloodless. The stubborn expression on her face indicated that she had lost the ability to resist. The one chasing after her was a girl in black. Her eyes carried a trace of coldness and viciousness. The 13th heavenly layer of the martial path. The girl in black revealed a trace of decisive killing intent. At a glance, one could tell that she was a true powerhouse who had bathed in blood. Give up or die. The girl's eyes fell on Yu Hong. Her face was cold, and her eyes were as sharp as a blade, not allowing anyone to talk. A trace of surprise flashed through his eyes. Qin Feng realized that the first thing the participating geniuses of All Stars College did when they entered the forest was not to hunt for ferocious beasts. Instead, they aimed their swords at their fellow disciples. Eliminate the competition. Should I help this girl? because we are from the same hometown. Thinking in his heart, Qin Feng quickly got rid of this boring thought. What kind of joke was this? This Yu Hong was determined to help Ao Fong and oppose him. Besides, Qin Feng did not have the habit of carrying burdens. Yu Hong pinched the white lotus mark in her hand. Her face was full of unwillingness as she angrily questioned, "Why? I don't understand. I have no enmity with you. Why are you chasing after me?" Yu Hong's pale face flashed with a trace of redness because of anger. "Junior sister, you are too naive. Do you really think that this hidden dragon competition is an opportunity for stragglers like you?" A trace of coldness flashed through her eyes as the girl in black sneered. "Impossible. This lady is not afraid to tell you that this time, all the powerhouses who are not from the top 10 teams will be eliminated. Don't blame us. The competition in All-Stars College is too fierce. There are not many people who can successfully enter Xingchen School every year. The more people we can eliminate, the more opportunities we will have." Eliminate? In the dark, hearing the girl's words, Qin Feng's expression changed slightly. A sense of crisis suddenly surged in his heart. Clearly, according to the girl's words, Qin Feng, who is not from the top 10 teams, would be eliminated this time. Should I save this girl? Looking at Yu Hong, a trace of hesitation emerged in Qin Feng's heart again. The power of the top 10 teams was not to be underestimated. One person alone would not be able to do anything. It was necessary to unite more powerhouses to resist the elimination of the top 10 teams. Qin Feng's eyes flashed. After a moment, he rejected this idea. Forget it. Not to mention that Yu Hong's cultivation is weak. The key is that this girl has a prejudice against me. I'm afraid that if I save her, not only will I not gain an ally, but I will also gain a pig teammate who will drag me down. In the dark, Qin Feng chose to coldly watch from the sidelines. Yu Hong was forced into a corner. Her beautiful eyes revealed a trace of resentment. She clenched her teeth and crushed the white lotus mark. Turning into a white lotus, she disappeared into the forest in the blink of an eye. The girl in black swept her gaze and saw that Yu Hong had disappeared. Just as she was about to turn and leave, her expression suddenly changed. Silently, a black-robed youth with an expressionless face appeared 3 feet away from her. Author's note: the next update will be put together. It will not be one update and one update, but 2 updates together. Chapter 244. Who are you? The girl in black was on high alert. This young man could appear 3 feet away from her without a sound. Didn't this mean that he could take her life at any time? She was about to pull away. However, the next moment, it turned into a trace of fear. Her body stiffened, and the blood in her body suddenly became chaotic. A black shadow flashed like a phantom. One hand instantly grabbed the girl in black's delicate neck. Qin Feng lifted the girl in black up with one hand. The girl in black was aghast. Grabbing the girl's beautiful neck with one hand, Qin Feng's eyes flashed coldly. A cold air froze the girl's left hand. The girl lost all feeling in her left hand. You want to crush the white lotus mark? Too late. Qin Feng raised his head and looked at the girl in black. What do you want to do? The girl in black tried to act tough. If you dare to kill me, the EUA battle team will not let you go. Qin Feng frowned and shouted in a low voice. Cut the crap. If you want to live, answer me a few questions. With anger in her eyes, the girl in black bit her lower lip. At this moment, she was in a strong position. The girl in black pulled a long face and a trace of coldness flashed in her eyes. What do you want to ask? Let me ask you. Did the top 10 battle teams team up? The girl in black lifted her chin and asked. That's right. The top 10 battle teams started to form an alliance before the competition. After saying that, the girl in black smiled coldly. I advise you to start thinking carefully. If you go against the top 10 battle teams, you won't have a good ending. Qin Feng scolded. Shut up. Say what I ask you to say. Say one more word and be careful of your life. The girl in black's face turned pale. She bit her lower lip tightly. Let me ask you again. How many people from the top 10 battle teams are participating in the points competition? I don't know. I advise you to be honest. Otherwise, I won't just kill people. Qin Feng's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. His gaze fell on the girl in black's exquisite body. The girl in black's body belonged to the petite category. Her curves were exquisite and graceful. Her hair was as black as clouds. She had a cold and elegant face. Her body had a special feminine scent. Being glanced by Qin Feng's eyes, the girl in black's face turned pale. Her delicate body trembled, and she felt uncomfortable all over. What do you want? I don't want to do anything. But if you're not honest, I can't guarantee. Qin Feng said to himself, I can see that you're still a virgin. You're a martial arts seed at the peak of the 13th heaven of the martial path. A woman like you has the most mellow vitoline. If I pluck your vitoline, I'll be able to advance my cultivation. The girl's face. After a moment of silence, the young girl raised her head and glared at Qin Feng as she said with a cold face, I really don't know how many experts there are in the top 10 teams, but I know that there are 60 martial arts geniuses from our EUA battle team. And among these 60 geniuses, my strength can only be ranked in the lower middle. There are so many people. Qin Feng had a headache. Qin Feng knew that among the top 10 teams, the EUA battle team's ranking was actually lower. They were only ranked 9th. The EUA battle team, which was ranked 9th, had so many experts. The strength of the top few teams was probably even more terrifying. Everyone in the top 10 teams was a huge force. It was extremely difficult to deal with any one of them. Now, these people had all joined forces to clear the field. Almost no one could stop them. Qin Feng's face was gloomy. The situation was more serious than Qin Feng had imagined. The girl in black's mouth revealed a trace of sarcasm. Her beautiful eyes glanced at Qin Feng. Although I don't know who you are, you can subdue me in one move. You do have some strength. However, compared to some of the powerful geniuses in our EUA battle team, you can't even enter the top 10. Qin Feng was expressionless. The corner of his mouth twitched. Qin Feng was helpless. Although he didn't want to admit it, Qin Feng had to admit that the girl in black's words made sense. Qin Feng might be one of the top freshmen in All-Stars College, but compared to the geniuses of the previous batches, he was weak. Qin Feng had only entered All-Stars College for a short period of time. Those geniuses of the previous batches had entered All-Stars College for more than a year. They had obtained many elixirs from All-Stars College and were nurtured by opportunities. They were no longer the same as before. This kind of gap wasn't something that could be made up in a short 3 months. Looks like I can't face the top 10 teams head-on this time. I have to avoid them first and find some savage beasts to kill to increase my cultivation. Then I can think of a way to defeat them one by one. Lin Ming thought to himself. Qin Feng knew his own strengths. If he could break through to the pulse condensation period in 2 months, then with his innate primordial chaos unity chi, he might have a chance to make a comeback. Qin Feng's eyes fell on the girl in black. With a sweep of his sleeve, the girl's frozen left hand immediately melted away. The girl in black glared at Qin Feng. It was as if she wanted to remember the appearance of this black-robed youth in front of her. Kacha! The white lotus mark shattered. The girl's body floated in the air. In the next moment, she turned into a white lotus and disappeared into the void. Qin Feng surveyed the entire mountain forest. The skyscraper ridge was vast, with tall mountains and dense forests. It spanned thousands of miles. There were countless savage beasts living here. The roars of savage beasts rose and fell one after another. There was no lack of powerful savage beasts. There were even second-level savage beasts and third-level beast kings. After pondering for a moment, Qin Feng's figure flashed, and he headed towards the depths of the mountain range. Not long after Qin Feng left, in the mountain range, a man and a woman came together. The man was cold and gloomy, and the woman's eyes were dark and gloomy. If the geniuses of the top 10 battle teams were here, they would definitely be able to recognize the identity of this man and woman. These two people were the Moon Reliance battle team's #1 powerhouse, the Lunar King. They were the Wind and Thunder twins. The aura of these two people was tyrannical, with a trace of oppressive aura. It was obvious that these two people were far stronger than ordinary pulse condensation period powerhouses. It's here. The mark left behind by junior apprentice Sister Lin May disappears here. The young man looked around, and his nose suddenly twitched. There were 3 people's auras here. 2 women and 1 man. One of the women was junior apprentice Sister Lin May. His sense of smell was abnormally sensitive. He was able to distinguish the scents of the mountain forest. The auras of the 2 women seemed to abruptly stop here. If I'm not wrong, they were forced to choose to crush the white lotus mark, and the other aura seemed to have left in this direction. The gloomy man's eyes looked towards the direction that Qin Feng had left. The other girl in pink closed her eyes. There really are some traces of fight here. It seems that junior apprentice Sister Lin May failed. Looks like we've met a pretty good prey this time. The gloomy man smiled eerily. Author's note: the next chapter is a bit late. It's too hot. I'm having a bit of a heat stroke. Please recommend me. Please add me to your collection. Please reward me. Chapter 245. Rumble. In the vast mountain range, there was an intense collision of chi, accompanied by a mournful beast roar. A pitch-black wind blew through the forest. Everywhere it passed, countless ancient trees in an area of a few hundred meters were crushed into powder and obliterated. It was a ghastly sight. Bang! The sound of a heavy object falling to the ground was heard, and a huge pit about 10 feet deep was blasted open on the ground. A figure rushed out of the hole and landed on the ground with a bang. His body was trembling, and he seemed to be having a hard time. Whoosh! Beside the hole, Qin Feng was kneeling on one knee. His chest was heaving up and down, and sweat was pouring down his face like rain. His clothes were ragged, and his face was covered in dust. Blood stained his black clothes. Qin Feng moved slightly and immediately felt a sharp pain coming from his abdomen. Qin Feng endured the pain and looked down. He lifted his clothes and saw a bloody claw mark on his abdomen. His internal organs were faintly visible. I almost died. Qin Feng's eyes flashed with a trace of lingering fear. If not for his true chi blocking a part of the power, his heart would have been dug out by this vicious beast's claws. Qin Feng's eyes look at the pit that is about 10 feet deep beside him. Cuckoo! Inside the pit, the flesh and blood were badly mangled, and hot blood was sizzling out. A black and white creature's body gradually turned cold. Its body was slender and graceful, like a cat or a tiger. It had triangular ears, a short tail, and cold eyes. If there were knowledgeable people here, they would definitely be able to recognize this dead savage beast. This was a powerful rank 1 savage beast, Xiaofeng. This savage beast was born with the ability to control a black wind. It was extremely fast, and its 4 hooves moved silently. Furthermore, this savage beast was cunning, cruel, and vengeful. It was extremely difficult to deal with. Its fur was intact, but its head was twisted to the other side at a twisted angle. Someone had crushed its skull with brute force. It was hard to imagine that someone could use brute force to crush the head of such a powerful beast. The one who had accomplished this feat was none other than Qin Feng. Zhang Xian took out a cup of 7-star dragon spring water and gulped it down. The wounds on his body began to heal at a rate visible to the naked eye. Qin Feng lay on the ground with his 4 limbs spread out. He felt so comfortable that he couldn't help but close his eyes. The spiritual water washed over his flesh and blood, cleansing his soul. Qin Feng's 8,000 pores all over his body began to relax. Qin Feng was definitely the first person to use the 7 stars dragon spring water, which could increase one's lifespan, to heal injuries. If other experts saw this, they would probably kill him out of heartache. A moment later, Qin Feng flipped over and stood up from the ground. With a calm expression, Qin Feng stretched out his hand. A pure white lotus floated out from his hand and landed on top of the howling wind. A moment later, the howling wind's huge body turned into ashes. This was the second savage beast that Qin Feng had killed. The snow-white lotus flower's second petal began to bloom. Its soft and sparkling luster was tender and tender. At the same time, an exceptionally pure, savage beast's essence, qi, poured into Qin Feng's body. As the boiling essence, qi, poured in, Qin Feng's eyes flashed with joy. He sat down cross-legged and used all his strength to refine this essence qi. A moment later, the mixed essence qi of the late 12th heavenly layer of the martial path surged to the peak, crossing the boundary of the late 12th heavenly layer of the martial path. The mixed essence qi tide, the 28th wave. Qin Feng's aura surged. He could faintly hear the sound of the tide surging in his body. Puchi. Qin Feng stood up and slightly waved his arms. At this moment, his qi had increased by nearly 10%. He had taken another small step towards the pulse condensation stage. Narrowing his eyes, Qin Feng felt the changes in his body. This time, he could clearly feel that after the second grade of the white lotus flower, the savage beast essence qi was 3 times more than the first grade. Moreover, Qin Feng also had a strange feeling. It seemed that the essence qi obtained from hunting savage beasts was more vigorous than the essence qi obtained from hunting pulse condensation stage martial artists of the same level. Compared to those of the same level, the essence qi was twice as vigorous, suppressing the joy in his heart of increasing strength. Which direction should I go next? Looking up at the forest, Qin Feng muttered. Qin Feng gradually became familiar with this forest. This place was close to the central area of the skyscraper ridge. The spirit qi was abundant, and there were many tyrannical savage beasts. A few miles to the east, there was a small horned dragon living in the poison dragon pool. It was a Class 1 savage beast, the single-horned black snake, which was about to evolve into a horned dragon. It was a highly venomous snake. Qin Feng once saw from afar that this single-horned black snake easily killed a mammoth giant elephant that tried to challenge its lordship by itself. That giant mammoth was only one step away from evolving into a grade 2 earth mammoth. Qin Feng estimated that even if he used all his trump cards and used a sneak attack, he might not be able to defeat this horned black snake. If he was not careful, he might even lose his life. Qin Feng looked in another direction. There was a very good target 7 to 8 miles to the south. It was a pregnant lightning leopard. The lightning leopard was a grade 1 peak savage beast. It was as fast as the wind and could control lightning. If it was any other time, Qin Feng would definitely not have any ideas about this lightning leopard. However, lightning was pregnant now, and its strength was close to the same level. He might have a chance to kill it. After thinking for a while, he decided to give up on this lightning leopard. Perhaps he could take a step back and make this lightning leopard his second target. Qin Feng set his first target on a group of savage beasts on a mountain peak in front of him. Crimson Explosive Ape. This mountain peak was abnormally rich in spirit qi. There were many half-spirit ancient trees here, and a group of crimson explosive apes occupied this place. A few days ago, when Qin Feng passed by this place, he saw a mountain full of spirit fruits. He wanted to go up the mountain to search for some spirit fruits to satisfy his hunger. However, he did not expect to startle this group of monkeys and be chased for dozens of miles. Qin Feng had long wanted to take revenge. Of course, taking revenge on these monkeys was one of the reasons. The main reason was that Qin Feng suspected that there might be a spirit root on this mountain peak. The value of a spirit root was simply immeasurable. In the price list given by the contribution hall, even the lowest grade yellow grade spirit root was worth more than 1,000 points. It was common knowledge that spirit roots were worth more than 10 times of other spirit herbs and spirit objects of the same grade. Looking around, Qin Feng looked at the bloodstains in the surroundings and muttered to himself. A moment later, he waved his sleeves and a violent gust of wind swept past. All the traces and smells were turned into fine powder by the violent gust of wind, completely annihilated. With a stomp of his foot, the black-robed youth disappeared into the forest like a gust of wind. 2 hours later, 2 silhouettes appeared in the barren forest at lightning speed. They looked up at the forest that had disappeared into thin air, their faces silent. The two people who chased after them were none other than the experts from the Moonlight Battle Team who had been tracking Qinfeng. His aura has disappeared. He seems to have noticed that we are tracking him and has deliberately erased his aura. The cold and arrogant young man looked around with a malicious gaze. His nose twitched slightly as his eyes flickered with a cold light. The pink-robed girl's eyes flashed with a trace of scarlet lightning as she spoke. Can we continue tracking him? Don't worry. Even if he has erased all his aura and smell, as long as he has been here, he will leave a trace. My great art of searching heaven and earth is not to be trifled with. As long as he has been here, he will not be able to hide from my senses. Chapter 246. This is the place. Qinfeng looked up and passed by a mountain stream. Beneath his feet was a dark spring. The snow-white spring water flowed down from upstream as it trickled down the mountain walls. Standing on top of a huge green rock, Qinfeng saw a beautiful mountain peak shrouded in clouds and mist, hidden in the depths of the clouds. Roar! Roar! Vaguely, there were violent ape cries coming from the lofty mountains. It's a crimson explosive ape. Qinfeng's expression changed slightly. There was something odd about the crimson explosive ape's cries. Qinfeng's figure flashed as he crossed the stream. His body was like a gust of wind as he traversed tens of feet with each step. In a blink of an eye, he traversed tens of feet. Spirit fog surged as all sorts of spirit flowers bloomed in the mountain. At the foot of the mountain, Qinfeng saw peach trees that resembled jade. The leaves were crystalline, and the large pink peaches were extremely pleasing to the eye. Jadewood spirit peach trees. Qinfeng's eyes fall on these peach trees. These peach trees are all 1,000-year-old and half-spiritual trees, and the fruits on them are all half-spiritual fruits. Although they had yet to be graded, they were still extremely precious. These spirit peaches were excellent spirit fruits that could nourish one's essence and temper one's essence. Creek. On top of the jadewood peach trees, a group of jadewood cyan apes were making a ruckus. The apes were as fast as the wind as they leaped about in the mountain peach forest. They were a type of ferocious beast whose entire body was green and half the height of a human. If they awakened their bloodline, they could evolve into a grade 1 azure wood ape. Qinfeng's eyes revealed a look of pity. Although his jadewood world had reached a circumference of 90 feet and was nurturing vitality, it had yet to produce a continent. If not, he could transplant some vitality spiritual items to strengthen the vitality of his world. Standing in the peach forest, Qinfeng's eyes flickered. If only I can find a true spirit root here. Qinfeng's eyes flashed with a burning desire. A true spirit root had an ability that other spiritual items did not possess. It could suppress one's world. If a true spirit root could be transplanted into the Jadewood world, the second level of the Jadewood world would truly open. There is only one core of the Abyssal world, known as the Chaos Heavens. The Chaos Heavens had 5 levels. The first level was the Jade Sea world, the second was the Jadewood world, the third was the Blazing Flame world, the fourth was the Earth Wudong world, and the fifth was the Metal Emperor world. As the 5 levels fused together, they formed the Chaos Heavens. Every level fused with the world made the Chaos Heavens more perfect. Only when the Chaos Heavens was truly formed would the endless abyss truly open. The more perfect the Chaos Heavens became, the more benefits Qinfeng would receive. Soon, Qinfeng's expression calmed down. Just like the opening conditions of the Jade Sea world, the opening of the Jadewood world also required a high-grade spirit item. The activation of the Jadewood world required a wood attribute high-grade Fey, which was also a wood attribute earth-grade Fey. The conditions to activate it were extraordinarily difficult. Qinfeng raised his head and looked at the mountain before him. This mountain had a beautiful topography, and the essence of heaven and earth gathered there. The mountain was lush and gloomy, and it was shrouded in clouds and mist. It was like the chi of primordial chaos permeating the air, and it was filled with the vitality of heaven and earth. Qinfeng was an array formation grandmaster. Although he had never studied geomancy, he could tell that this was an extremely rare blessed land. Furthermore, this blessed land's grade was in no way inferior to Qin Feng's Sky Crimson Peak. Any blessed land on a spirit mountain was bound to have a spirit root entrenched in it. Qin Feng's eyes flickered slightly as he rushed towards the mountainside. At the mountainside, Qin Feng saw many half-spirit fruit trees. There were spirit apricots, spirit pears, and even the rare spirit fruit, purple grapes. Each of them was beautiful and lustrous. The spirit wood's vital essence suffused light, making them look like corals and emeralds. Qin Feng discovered that there were many types of apes on the mountain. There were simply too many to count. Not only were there many types of apes, they were also not weak. Apes at the level of savage beasts were common. Squeak! A group of apes wreaked havoc from afar. The branches and leaves swayed, and many spirit trees and spirit fruits fell. Qin Feng raised his head and looked over. Even from half a mile away, Qin Feng could still see clearly that it was a group of silver-white apes. They had silver-white bodies, silver horns on their heads, and ferocious eyes. This group of apes was dragging lions and tigers with blood-stains on their bodies as they rushed up from the foot of the mountain. They were extremely fast, moving as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, they could see several hundred zhang away. This group of apes was actually feeding on lions and tigers. Taken aback, Qin Fengmu's figure flashed and appeared behind the mountain rock, concealing his figure. Rumble! A violent aura came from 100 steps away. Silver lightning flashed, and the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. Bang! A silver-white ape leaped over a rock 10 steps away from Qin Feng, leaving a footprint that was several centimeters deep. What a ferocious ape! Qin Feng's eyes flickered, and he became even more careful in concealing himself. This was a top-notch Class 1 savage beast. If he was discovered, Qin Feng would be in deep trouble. After a while, the group of silver-white apes left. Qin Feng's figure flashed and appeared on top of the rock, looking at the blood stains under his feet. Qin Feng's nose twitched slightly, and he smelled a trace of the scent of a savage beast from the blood stains. These are all savage beasts. Qin Feng's scalp went numb. There were actually such terrifying silver-haired apes on this mountain. They were feeding on lions and tigers of the savage beast level. Qin Feng's eyes flickered with hesitation. This mountain was too dangerous. Who knew if there were even more terrifying apes on the mountain? However, there's also a great opportunity in this great terror. Not to mention whether there is a spiritual root. If I could find a way to kill a group of iron monkeys, the white lotus mark might blossom into a 4th grade or even a 5th grade flower. He thought to himself, this was a great temptation. After a while, Qin Feng clenched his teeth. The bold ones were full, and the timid ones were starved. If he was going to play, he would play it big. In Qin Feng's eyes, these apes were all great herbs. Qin Feng appeared on the mountain. After half an hour, Qin Feng's figure flashed, and he came down from the mountainside. Qin Feng's complexion turned green, and a trace of blood flowed out of his mouth. He looked abnormally miserable. His gaze landed on a shrub in a valley. With a flip of his body, he entered the shrub. Roar, roar, roar. Dozens of ear-piercing sounds could be heard. After dozens of breaths, a red light flew out from the mountain with a boom. A huge black shadow broke through the air and landed on top of a mountain rock. It was a huge ape. Its body was red, and it had red hair. There was a spiral flaming horn between its eyebrows, and its eyes were shining like torches. It stood on top of a huge mountain rock and looked down. Its eyes flashed with dignity like a human. Its eyes looked around, searching for a place to hide. At the bottom of the mountain, Qin Feng was hiding under the soil. He could clearly feel a terrifying, blazing gaze sweeping over his head. What kind of mountain is this? There are actually so many terrifying apes. Qin Feng cursed in his heart. He activated his secret technique and hid underground. Before Qin Feng reached the mountainside, he encountered this level 2 red-horned dragon ape. This red-horned dragon ape's strength was really terrifying. With just one attack, Qin Feng was slightly injured. There was also a blazing power that burned deep into his internal organs. If Qin Feng had not seen the opportunity and escaped early, he would have died under this red-horned dragon ape's iron palm. Roar! One after another, dozens of tall, silver-white apes came roaring from the mountain. The silver-white apes appeared behind the leading red-horned dragon ape like guards. Unexpectedly, the silver ape in the lead actually spoke human language. Lord Seventh Ape. Search, find that two-legged sheep that trespassed on the sacred mountain. The red-horned dragon ape's eyes were ferocious as it growled. He was injured by me, so he must still be in the sacred mountain. Mobilize the tribe and find him. If you can catch him, I will reward you with his heart and lungs. Yes, Lord Seventh Ape. The silver-white ape's eyes flashed with excitement. The meat of the two-legged sheep was a rare delicacy in the wilderness. In the sacred mountain of the ape tribe, only a few elders had the opportunity to taste such a delicacy. The silver-white apes were unable to contain their excitement and let out a shrill howl. Behind them, the silver-white apes roared towards the sky and beat their chests with their arms. The next moment, they left the place like cannonballs, searching in all directions. Their eyes blazed as they looked around. With a flash of fire, the red-horned dragon ape disappeared on the spot and headed towards the foot of the mountain. After a quarter of an hour, Qin Feng climbed out of the bushes. Qin Feng's face was gloomy as he looked in the direction where the group of apes had left. He muttered to himself, "Two-legged sheep. Hee hee. Who knows who will eat who later? Please recommend me. There's one more in the afternoon." Chapter 247. On Qin Feng's face was a sinister smile that resembled a smile from the depths of hell. He glanced in the direction the red-horned dragon ape was searching. Qin Feng pondered for a moment. Then a sinister smile appeared on his face as he flew in another direction. Not long after, Qin Feng arrived at a jade essence forest. Qin Feng's footsteps were light and graceful. Jade essence trees with sparkling trunks and luxuriant foliage entered his vision. The jade essence tree was a kind of half-spiritual tree. If it could reach 1,000 years of age, it could truly advance to a yellow-rank spiritual root. The jade essence trees were so tall that it would take 2 to 3 people to wrap their arms around them. Occasionally, there would be green fruits on the ancient trees. The skin of the fruit was fresh and tender, small and round. This was the jade essence fruit. 4th, 5th, and 6th heavenly stage cultivators, it had extraordinary benefits. Eating one could help them condense their true qi. Eating this kind of spiritual fruit frequently could also maintain one's youthful appearance. However, once one broke through to the 7th heavenly stage of the Xiantian realm, this kind of spiritual fruit's effects would be limited. On the ancient trees, there would occasionally be emerald apes that were as tall as an adult. These emerald apes moved about on the branches of the ancient trees as if they were one with the ancient trees. If one did not pay attention, one might even overlook them. Emerald wood apes. This was the evolved form of the emerald wood apes at the foot of the mountain. They were a kind of grade 1 savage beast that was born with the ability to control wood attribute energy. This group of beasts, their food is really good. No wonder they evolved so fast. Qin Feng silently walked out from behind an ancient tree. Looking at the group of emerald wood apes leaping about on the branches, killing intent flickered in and out his eyes. Qin Feng hid behind the tree until the sky darkened. When the group of emerald wood apes left, only then did he emerge from his hiding place. In a flicker, Qin Feng appeared on top of the tree. Qin Feng picked a portion of the jade essence fruit and stored it in a jade box, storing it in the jade sea heaven and earth. These jade essence fruits were of no use to Qin Feng, but to the little girl Hong Lian, Qin Shou, Qin Gang, and the rest, they could save a lot of cultivation time. Taking advantage of the darkness, Qin Feng stealthily crept toward the emerald wood ape's resting place. The greenwood apes rested in the depths of the forest. This place was heavily guarded. There were many jadewood azure apes patrolling the area. These jadewood azure apes were wielding sabers, spears, and staffs. Each of them was brimming with killing intent. They wore tattered armor and held torches. Neither fish nor fowl. A tall, green-haired monkey wearing gaudy armor stood on a rock with a mace on its shoulder as it roared in a profound manner. Children, keep your eyes open. A two-legged sheep has snuck into our holy mountain today. Those two-legged sheep are very cunning. Don't let them enter the holy mountain and disturb the sacred ancestors' slumber. Yes, General Bong. In groups of twos and threes, a group of apes waved their big clubs and roared wildly. Their eyes flickered with bestial light, filled with ferocity and excitement. The two-legged sheep was a famous delicacy in the southern wasteland. Now that it had come to the sacred mountain of the apes, this was a rare opportunity. Hiding behind a jade essence tree, Qin Feng's face was gloomy. Most of these apes seemed to have extremely strong spiritual intelligence. Moreover, Qin Feng could clearly see that many of these apes had traces of martial arts cultivation. Their movements were definitely not like ordinary savage beasts. Instead, they were like martial arts experts. Their control of strength had reached a level that ordinary savage beasts could not achieve. Is there a demon god here? Qin Feng muttered. Qin Feng knew that in the wilderness, some savage beasts had given birth to demon gods and possessed the demon god's bloodline. These savage beasts with the demon god's bloodline were mostly born with spiritual intelligence and wisdom. Only those with the demon god's bloodline could inherit it. Qin Feng's complexion was not too good. This was very likely. According to Qin Feng's observations, the apes on this nameless mountain were distributed in a pyramid structure. The closer to the peak, the stronger the apes were. Groups of apes patrolled the forest with torches raised. There was already the embryonic form of an army. In the darkness, many apes were not used to it. They looked around, appearing very impetuous and impatient. These apes had uncertain natures. Although they were intelligent, most of them were impetuous and their minds were influenced by their bestial nature. Qin Feng was about to take the opportunity to leave, but suddenly his complexion changed slightly and he shrank back behind the tree again. Qin Feng operated a secret skill called snake-like breath shooting skill and tried his best to restrain his aura to prevent it from leaking out. Rumble. An air-piercing sound was heard. A green light flashed, and a majestic green ape with a scar on its face suddenly appeared not far away. Its aura was abnormally strong and was not inferior to that of a second-class savage beast. Its green eyes scanned the entire forest. Qin Feng felt an abnormally terrifying pressure. This was an abnormally strong green ape. This green ape was wearing an exquisite gown and had a stocky build. It held a long saber and had a pair of fierce beast eyes in its eye sockets. When its gaze landed on General Bong, its eyes revealed a trace of superiority of a superior. General Bach. Seeing the majestic giant ape appear, many apes showed respect and knelt down on the ground one by one. Among savage beasts, the hierarchy was the most strict. Especially in a big tribe like the ape tribe, this hierarchy could not be overstepped. Seeing all his subordinates kneeling down, General Bang's expression turned ugly. General Ba, why are you here? Didn't the king ask you to guard the cave of spiritual light? If something happens to the cave of spiritual light, the elders of the ape temple will blame us. I'm afraid our entire Greenwood tribe will suffer. The scarred ape glanced at General Bong with disdain. He sneered. Bong 13, aren't you too cowardly? It's just a two-legged sheep. I think you're scared out of your wits. You. Bong 13 was furious, and his eyes flashed red. Apes were easily angered. This time, they were about to explode. However, Bong 13 thought of something and held back. Behind the tree, Qin Feng looked at this scene in amazement. These apes also had grudges and fights. But where is the ape temple? Qin Feng thought in his heart. After a moment, Qin Feng suppressed the doubts in his heart. Taking advantage of the fact that the apes here were attracted by the grudges between the two apes, Qin Feng flashed into the depths of the forest. Qin Feng originally wanted to wait for an opportunity to kill one or two savage beast-level Greenwood apes. However, he held back in the end. It was better to be safe than sorry. Once exposed, he was afraid that he would attract the pursuit of all the greenwood apes on the mountain. He might even attract the silver-white apes that were chasing him everywhere. Qin Feng groped into the depths of the forest. After a few hundred steps, Qin Feng saw a jade essence tree that was emitting a rich spiritual light. This was a 1,000-year-old jade essence tree. A real spiritual tree. The spiritual energy here was so dense that it almost turned into a thick fog. This was a huge spiritual tree garden. Qin Feng was a little tempted. The fruits on these 1,000-year-old jade essence trees would have a great effect even if an expert at the seventh firmament of the martial Tao consumed them. Qin Feng glanced around and avoided a few patrolling apes. He waited for an opportunity to pick about 100 jade essence fruits and stored them well. The guards in front were even stricter. After a few thousand steps, Qin Feng saw 2 abnormally thick jade essence trees. These 2 jade essence trees were sparkling and translucent. They were suffused with spiritual light and bore pale, golden spiritual fruits. These were 2 jade essence trees that were more than 6,000 years old. Qin Feng paused slightly and felt a little uneasy. A jade essence tree that was more than 6,000 years old was completely comparable to some high-grade mystic-class spiritual trees. The fruits on these 2 jade essence trees were all plucked clean. Qin Feng secretly felt that it was a pity. Qin Feng became more and more careful. Since it was nighttime, some of the apes could not restrain their instincts. Qin Feng's journey was also smooth. Not long after, a mountain stronghold appeared in front of Qin Feng's eyes. It was a stronghold purely made up of apes. Many apes were holding large banners, each of them hugging a jar of wine and shouting loudly. The fragrance of wine came from afar. Qin Feng's nose twitched and his eyes lit up. Spiritual wine, and it's even top-grade monkey wine. Chapter 248. This is supreme-grade monkey wine, and it seems to be made from the 1,000-year-old jade essence fruit on the 1,000-year-old jade essence tree. Qin Feng's throat moved slightly. There was a strong wine fragrance wantonly in the village. Many apes were drunk, and there was a strong spirit qi washing their flesh. In their drunken sleep, their strength unknowingly increased. This was a real spiritual wine. It had a great nourishing effect and could strengthen one's foundation, nurture one's true essence, and even nourish one's soul. Regardless of whether it was to the other races or martial artists, it was extremely beneficial. Qin Feng's eyes revealed a trace of fire. This group of green-furred apes was really not ordinary rich. Such a spiritual wine was actually wasted like this. With envy in his heart, Qin Feng sneaked in while the ape guarding the gate was drunk. The scale of the mountain stronghold was very large. It was built in the middle of the forest. There were arrow towers, watchtowers, and rough wooden houses. In the middle of the mountain stronghold, there was a huge spirit tree. A group of apes were eating meat and drinking wine under the spirit tree. Qin Feng carefully ran into the village. Qin Feng heard some greenwood apes talking. It seemed that the Greenwood King was inviting the ape kings from other tribes and the elites of the ape race. The gigantic azure ape sitting in the middle was the Greenwood Ape King. On both sides were the Crimson Fire Ape King, Mountain Ape King, Steel Arm Ape King, Silverback Ape King, Goldfur Ape King, Mighty Dragon Ape King, Battle Golden Ape King, etc. There was also a group of ape elites below, each of them enjoying the spiritual fruits. Qin Feng, who had excellent eyesight, could even see that there were many golden jade essence fruits on the table in front of these apes. Jars of supreme-grade spiritual wine were emitting a fragrance. The spirit qi was so dense that it was almost tangible, forming strange spiritual flowers. Many ape experts were eating and drinking, and their auras were unknowingly rising. Their strength had improved greatly. Qin Feng cursed in his heart. He couldn't wait to rush up and kill all these fat apes. From afar, the sounds of these ape kings eating and drinking could be heard. Qin Feng only took a glance at these apes from afar and hid himself. The weakest of these old apes was a Tier 2 Beast King. Too powerful. A Tier 2 Beast King was comparable to a Sea Revolution realm expert. This kind of existence grasped a trace of the power of space and was extremely terrifying. If these old apes didn't think that someone from their tribe had infiltrated, Qin Feng would have been exposed to their senses. Qin Feng quickly withdrew and ran towards the back of the mountain. This place was too terrifying. Before he left, Qin Feng silently looked at the huge tree in the middle of the village. That was an unimaginable jade essence tree. Its trunk was as thick as a horned dragon, and its trunk was as thick as the body of a true dragon. Its canopy was like an umbrella that covered hundreds of meters. There were perfectly round fruits growing on the branches, and wisps of spiritual light were emitting from them. Even from thousands of feet away, one could still smell the delicate fragrance they were emitting. Slightly inhaling, Qin Feng faintly had the illusion that his true qi was soaring. Jade, jade, tree, 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 tree. Qin Feng's heart trembled violently. Qin Feng tried his best to suppress his palpitating heart lake to prevent his qi from leaking out. 100-year-old jade essence tree was a half-spiritual tree. 1,000-year-old jade essence tree was a true yellow tier spiritual tree. If it could break through to 6,000 years, it would be a profound tier spiritual tree. If it could reach 10,000 years, it would be an earth tier spiritual tree. The spiritual tree in front of him was so thick and lush. The spiritual fruits on the branches and leaves had already turned milky white. According to Qin Feng's knowledge, 100-year-old jade spirit tree's jade spirit fruit is white. 1,000-year-old jade spirit tree's jade spirit fruit is red, and a 6,000-year-old jade spirit tree's jade spirit fruit is light golden. Only a 10,000-year-old jade essence tree's fruit was milky white. This jade essence tree was definitely at least 10,000 years old. Move it away! I must move it away! Qin Feng roared in his heart. Qin Feng suppressed the greed in his heart and turned around. He didn't dare to look at it too much. Qin Feng was afraid that he would reveal a trace of hostility and attract the attention of the few terror ape kings that were drinking under the tree. That was extremely dangerous. Rank 2 beast kings possessed extraordinary abilities, and their intuition was even more tyrannical. With just a glance, it was possible to attract the attention of these beast kings. At the back of the mountain, after many twists and turns, Qin Feng was surprised to see numerous greenwood apes carrying jars of spirit wine towards the stronghold. In the middle of the road, a tall ape loudly berated. "Hurry up, clumsy! If the kings don't enjoy themselves to their heart's content, be careful of your heads." "Yes, big leader." Several furry apes wearing green robes and carrying war flags nodded repeatedly. "Be careful, don't break it, or the king won't forgive you." Hiding behind a rock, Qin Feng thought to himself as he watched these apes carry jars of spiritual wine from behind the mountain. Could it be that the place where these apes brew their wine is this back mountain? Qin Feng's eyes darted around. Qin Feng felt that he should do something. Qin Feng was about to go to the place where the wine was brewed when the conversation of these apes suddenly attracted Qin Feng's attention. Qin Feng's footsteps paused, and he once again retreated behind the rock. "Big leader, isn't the Azure Forest Feast held once every 100 years? This time it seems to be a few years ahead of schedule. What do you know? This time it's the Ape God Temple's elder who has shown mercy and specially bestowed this Azure Forest Feast. Big leader, why is it ahead of schedule this time? Our Ape Clan's Azure Forest Feast has been passed down for a few thousand years, and it has always been held once every 100 years. Every time, the various ape kings and the elites of the various clans would be invited. This time, it seems to be different. Moreover, this time, they even brought out a jug of 10,000-year-old jade soul wine. This 10,000-year-old jade soul wine is our Greenwood tribe's signature spirit wine. It's said that a small sip can make one's strength improve greatly, which is equivalent to several years of cultivation. Such a good thing. Even if our Greenwood tribe specializes in brewing wine in the sacred mountain, we only have 1 or 2 jars in hundreds of years. How can they be willing to take it out this time? The old ape berated. Little brat, don't ask about things you shouldn't ask about. That ape was exceptionally clever, and he licked his face and bowed. Big leader, since there are no outsiders here, just tell us. I heard that the reason why the Azure Forest Feast was held ahead of schedule this time seems to be related to a big matter in the tribe. Is our ape tribe going to war with some other clans? All right, don't ask about this matter. The king ordered that no one is allowed to leak this information. The old ape's voice was low, and his eyes were bright and full of expression. Seeing the nervous expressions of the few little apes, the old ape comforted. But you don't have to worry. This matter has nothing to do with you. It's mainly for the elites of the tribe. They have a big battle with some 2-legged sheep. This time the Azure Forest Feast is mainly for them, to help these elites improve their strength in order to suppress the other clans and raise the prestige of our ape tribe. All right, don't ask anymore. Today's matter will rot in your stomachs. Otherwise, I won't forgive you little brats. Following a few berating sounds, the few apes left. A moment later, Qin Feng appeared from behind the stone mountain in a flash. Qin Feng's eyes flickered as he looked at the figures of the apes leaving. Big battle? What big battle? Could it be that these foreign tribes are preparing to fight with All Stars College? That can't be right. After All Stars College established the 3 enclosures, the many formations formed a chain of strongholds. Furthermore, there are experts from Xingqian School stationed in the wilderness. These foreign tribes have no chance at all. Suddenly, an idea appeared in his mind, and Qin Feng was shocked. Could it be that it's targeted at this year's Hidden Dragon Point competition? Looking for recommendation votes, looking for collection. There's one more update in the afternoon, that you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.